And here we go. What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Recruiting Ain't Easy podcast. I'm your host with the most, Louis SWARTZ, here on Team SWARTZ, delivering you everything you need to know to make a well-informed decision on the enlistment or the joining process for the United States Army for everything from day zero to contracted through basic training. I am currently serving full-time as a recruiter for the New York Army National Guard in New York City, and a part-time drill sergeant with the National Guard RSP program, or the Recruit Sustainment Program. But in my free time here, I come on here. This is my personal account. Quick little disclaimer: this is not endorsed, sponsored, or supported from DoD, the U.S. Army, Army National Guard, New York Army National Guard, or any other government entity for that matter. So welcome. If you're new here, you already know what to do. Let me know what state you're tuning in from, and welcome to the channel. Consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon so you get notified every time I go live, like right now, or when I get a new video posted, which I'll be doing hopefully very, very soon. And for some reason on my phone here, that's very annoying. I should have troubleshot that before starting, but anyway. With that being said, welcome. Hope all is well. Every day is a good day when you wake up. All right, we got a lot of comments in here already, so we're gonna get started real quick, and let me see what's going on here. All right, cool. So with that being said, let me know if the audio is good. What's going on, baby girl? My daughter is on here, America Juliana. What's up? Always happy to see you, and I hope all is well. Dad loves you. All right, so with that being said, starting off with the first comment of the evening, coming in from Jordan Copeland. Hey, I was just wondering if you know or knew if they still gave the Eagle card at reception so that new recruits can buy things that they need there. Yes, they absolutely do. All right, it's about $300 to $350 now, whether you're male or female, and they will make you buy specific items for basic in accordance with how I describe it in this video here. Coming into the chat box, it's also linked down below, which is my basic training reception video. Okay, now this was filmed a few years ago, but the curriculum is still correct to this day. Just ignore the Rona references within that video. Okay, Rona is over, as you are well aware of. So with that being said, good luck to you, and make the best of that experience. We got Sertan Hike says, I just went to MEPS and got a level 3 Pulleys disqualification for mild osteoarthritis in the left knee. This diagnosis was made in June of 2023 via MRI scan. I've had 6 to 9 physical therapy sessions, July through August of 2023. That was authorized by my orthopedist, and haven't had any issues with my knee since. Would I qualify for a medical waiver? You never know, right? It's like you don't know unless you try. It also says trying to join the California National Guard as state OCS. All right, so aside from the OCS, just dealing with the medical issue, you're definitely going to want to check out this video here, okay? It's also linked down below, as with all the videos that I post throughout the stream. With that said, gather all your original documents. I would definitely get an updated knee specialist evaluation, testing, maybe x-rays and whatever, and see if the diagnosis is still the same. What you have to understand is, and this is for anyone who's going to go through MEPS, okay? MEPS is not determining whether or not you could fulfill your military physical and medical duties now, but what they're looking for is in the future, right? The return on investment. Is the risk worth the reward? Meaning that any medical disqualification like this one, right now you could do your job, but say 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more from now, when you go to exit the military, you have to understand that when you leave, you have the ability to request VA or Veterans Affairs disability, right? So if your physical medical condition is anything less than the way you joined, that's not consistent with your typical age, you could be awarded a certain percentage for VA disability, meaning that the government is going to compensate you money, a paycheck, on a monthly basis. So with this particular issue, what you're going to try to mitigate, minimize, or eliminate possibly through that specialist is what is the likelihood or percentage of this expanding, or is it going to be stagnant? Like whatever it is now is more or less what it's going to be, as long as you otherwise live a healthy lifestyle, whether that's through diet and or through exercise. But if the doctor cannot say that, then you're leaving the waiver authority in the position where it doesn't seem like the reward is worth the investment, because it's going to be something that could progress and get progressively worse over the years, especially through military lifestyle, which can be very physically demanding. Now with OCS, probably not, but depends on the unit you're in and what type of officer you are. But with that being said, it just in general, right? So go check out that video I posted. That'll give you a rough idea of how the medical exams are rated and other factors to go along with some of the things that I suggest in the all clear letter from your doctor. So hopefully that helps out. Good luck to you. May the waiver gods forever be in your favor. And moving on to the next person, to Luis Rodriguez. What's up, man? With that first hashtag Team Sports of the evening. Hope you and your family are doing well. Dropping in to show some support as always. And his question is, did the Army bring back combatives? If so, can you elaborate on the fighting system and how to be an instructor? I have multiple black belts and around 31 years in the arts. Is that helpful to be able to be an instructor? Jiu-Jitsu, Kali, Krav Maga, Kempo, and others, and training since 3 years old. Well, that's pretty impressive, and I did not know that about you, but we now have something in common. But with that being said, your civilian credentials has no bearing on the Army's combatives program, right? So in Army basic training, yes, since the Rona has ended, most places, most training installations has brought it back, providing that their drill sergeants are up to date and certified in at least level 2, maybe level 3 combatives trainers, certified so they can be able to teach it. So with that being said, it's very, very minimal. It's not going to make you a bad A mother flower. Like, you're not going to be able to leave basic training and go to a bar and get into a fist fight with somebody and genuinely expect to be successful. It's just enough to get your butt whooped. And you're no Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee or BJ Penn, or haven't paid attention to MMA in recent history, but yeah, so you're just not going to be a bad A mother flower. You know what I'm saying? So your unit could possibly send you through level 1, level 2 based on funding in schools, but that's going to be a lot easier of a school to get into in the National Guard compared to like airborne, air assault, and things of that nature. But yeah, to become an instructor, I'm not sure what the highest level is, to be perfectly honest with you, but to be a level 2 or level 3, I believe you can start instructing, but like to be like a head instructor, you got to be doing it for quite some time. All right, but at the National Guard level, you're probably not going to get there. All right, at least not full time. All right, Wolfman 1662. I recently got the all clear to return to work after being out a few months. Unfortunately, I may have slightly deformed hand for the rest of my life. Would that affect my future attempts to join? Not sure what you specifically mean by deformed. I don't care how it looks, but do you have full range of motion, dexterity, flexibility, agility, and all those illities? But yeah, so again, it's gonna more than likely disqualify you. A medical waiver is gonna have to be submitted. Are you in part of that waiver process? Can you wear gloves? Does it impede you from doing your abilities? Can you bend your fingers back like a normal person? Can you close your hand, open them? Are they relatively straight? Is it got your trigger finger? That's going to be very important, right? And are you going to be able to do basic physical tasks like picking up, pulling, pushing, climbing, doing push-ups, grabbing things, so on and so forth. But follow my medical waiver guide, and again, if it's just aesthetics, you should be fine. But as long as it's fully functioning, you have normal strength, normal dexterity, normal flexibility, agility, and all that good stuff, and you could wear a glove and it does not impact or mess up your trigger finger, then I feel like you should get an approved medical waiver. All right. We got the Highway Hog. What's up with the team SWARTZ? We got my daughter here, American Juliana. Thank you, baby. Love you. Hopefully you have a good night. And Kevin Nugent says, U.S. Army strong. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. We got Garlic. Can my recruiter still process me even though he's out for training in another state? If so, how does this work? So your recruiter is, I can pretty much guarantee you, I mean, if they're regular Army or, doing reserve and regular Army, which is full-time, I can pretty much guarantee you that they don't give enough about continuing the process. That's going to be up to the station commander or whatever they call it, station leader and station commander, whatever, in the regular Army. But it's up to another recruiter within the team to continue the process. Same thing with the National Guard. Depending on the recruiter, if it's National Guard, if they're just taking time off and still working, like I kind of sort of do, unless I'm specifically going away, then yeah, they could possibly do it. But if they're on their time off, then they're on their time off. It sucks for you, but this is a very, very stressful job. So if they're on vacation, just respect it and just let them do their thing. You could ask them, is there anyone in the office that could help, keep the process moving forward while you're away? And hopefully they're in a good environment where they have battle buddies that will support them, like my office and the rest of my state anyway. I can't account for any other recruiter, region, or component of the Army, but I think you'll be fine. Just, they're not going to be gone long. So, and yeah, it sucks, but, just hang in there. You'll be all right. All right. All right. So Karima Gonzalez says, can you help share tips for taking the ASVAB? Thank you. I'll give you, Karima, and to anyone else who's pending to redo or do the ASVAB test, you definitely want to study. And I'm going to give you some study materials right after I say this. But with that being said, the brief I usually give my applicants right before they do their test is you want to answer everything, right? Well, I'll get to that in a second. When I grew up, and this may be showing my age because they may not be saying this anymore, but whenever we took a multiple choice test, teachers always told me, choose option C, C being the most used answer on the test. And I tested that theory out on our practice test. Although it wasn't passing, it did have the highest score of choosing all ones, all twos, all threes, and all fours, with 3 being equivalent to C, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, C being 3. So choosing 3 for everything gave us a score of a 21 on the practice test. So that's proof in the pudding that that theory still holds true today. So when in doubt, choose option 3. So if you cannot figure out the answer and you cannot make an educated guess, do yourself a favor and just choose 3 and keep it moving. Furthermore, going back to what I began to say earlier, is when, just like as you know, the ASVAB test, or if you don't know, the ASVAB test is timed. So each section has a specific amount of time to answer a certain amount of questions. So towards the end of that section, you'll hear a buzzer. It may turn red, and it's going to pretty much give you a warning sound or some sort of warning at the 1 minute mark before that section ends. So in the last 10, 15 seconds or so, just choose 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 for everything that's remaining, because every question that you do not attempt to answer will be marked wrong. So when you choose 3, you have a 25% chance of getting that question right versus it being 100% wrong by not even trying. So that's what I recommend. The last tip I can give to you is for the paragraph comprehension. You're going to want to read the question first before reading the paragraph. You will quickly realize within this section that you're going to find the answers within the first couple of sentences. And that's it. Like once you find the answer, just stop reading and then choose your multiple choice answer. However, make sure that you read the entire answer before making that your final selection, because oftentimes they try to trick you where the first half of the answer sounds correct, but the second half is incorrect. So make sure you follow through, read the entire answer before making that your final selection. Now, with that being said, these 3 videos are going to help you on your studying journey. All right. So follow this video. It's a quiz video. So the text underneath this is going to share that with you. But basically, pause the video, try to figure it out. If you don't get the answer right, he has linked videos that deep dive on the how-to for that type of a math problem, right? And he does this throughout the entire quiz. Well, yeah, you'll see. And then I have 2 other videos designed the same way, but for arithmetic reasoning, all right? I want you to focus most of your energy under math and arithmetic, because that's what you can improve significantly in the shortest time possible. Word knowledge, unless you begin to start memorizing all the words in a dictionary, learning the pronouns, prefixes and suffixes really ain't gonna help you a lot, because as you will quickly find out, most words don't have any prefixes or suffixes. So when in doubt, choose 3, keep it moving. Paragraph comprehension is strategy. Again, if you follow the strategy, you're reading the question first, then the paragraph, you'll find the answer, stop reading, and then choose the best option for your answer. And that's what I have for you. And then a couple of YouTube channels that will have other videos that are geared to helping people like you prepare for the ASVAB test is Grammar Hero and Gaminal Tutors are my top 2 go-to channels. Now, Grammar Hero does not offer tutoring services because in his mind, his opinion is if you fail the test, to him it's like stealing your money, something along those lines. Can't remember his exact words, but more or less paraphrasing, that's pretty much how he feels. Now, Gaminal Tutors does have various levels of tutoring services, so you could definitely check out his channel, and he has had great success with his students. Now, with anything, whether it's a book, a video, or some sort of online program, or even a tutor, right? What you put into this is what you get out of it. So you have to be consistent on a daily grind, doing this for 1 to 2 hours per day. All right. Studying 5-6 hours today and then doing the same thing next weekend is going to do you nothing. I'd rather you study for an hour a day for the next 5 days versus 5 hours today and then not study for a week or a week or 2 before you take the test. All right. Small chunks, an hour to 2 hours per day with a 30-minute to 60-minute break between those hours of studying, like maybe an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening would be best case scenario if you ask me. But yeah, that's what I recommend. Good luck to you, Karima, and to anybody else who's about to take the test, and make us proud. All right, you just need to score a 21 or better to get the 09 mic program, which will afford you the opportunity to still join. Now, I do not know if they have closed this, but for regular Army full-time, meaning active duty only, again, I'm not sure if they're taking them. I don't know if they filled up all the slots, but they opened it up to 16 to 30. But for Reserve and National Guard, it's 21 to 30. All right? But it's a great program. Go check out that video. All right, we got Sandra Silos with the hashtag Team SWARTZ tuning in from Texas. Well, welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. We got The Highway saying fire, so I'm talking about. Thank you very much for your support. We got Darian Holland. How does an officer in the Army National Guard pick their branch? Is it a priority sheet, or do you not get a chance to pick? So whether you're going regular Army, which is full-time, or the Army Reserve, or the Army National Guard, who is part-time, it is all the same thing. Towards the end of phase 1 of your OCS, your Officer Candidate School Program, they're going to give you a wish list, right? And you're going to list the highest interested to least interested of branches that you want to branch into. Now, if you have a degree in a particular area, they may try to factor that into their decision-making process. But if you're the average student that graduates, then it's going to be, and it still always will be, the needs of the Army, okay? Now, if you graduate in the top 1 to 10%, then they typically try to do everything within their power to give you what you request. But for everybody else, it is based on the needs of the Army. Again, no matter which component of the Army you are going to OCS for, that is how it works. So towards the end of the second or third phase is when you're going to find out what they're actually going to branch you as. All right. But good luck to you. And yeah, make it happen. Ooh, freaking Luya. All right. So we got Valkyrie. Here we go. What's up? After a year of jumping through hoops, my recruiter says I should be swearing in in less than 30 days. Thank you for all your help. You are amazing. Well, Valkyrie, I appreciate your support and your kind words, but I appreciate you coming on here, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to help you in some small itty bitty way. But good luck to you. Make us proud. Do great things. Hua frickin' Luya. All right, so we got For All Ravage that says, question, if you're enlisted as one MOS and you go officer, would your new MOS be something that have to do with your old MOS? For example, if you were an 11 Bravo infantry, would you become an 11 Alpha if you become an officer? That is a really, really good question for the people or the powers that be that are going to determine what's best for the Army. Now, I would not be surprised if they do put you with infantry, but again, it's always based on the needs of the Army as previously described moments ago. All right, but good luck to you. And just so you're tracking, when you become an officer, you do not have an MOS. An MOS is a specific job or skill. As an officer, you are a leader and you generally learn that area of expertise in the form of leadership. All right. And that's why it's called a branch, right? It encompasses everything within that field. So instead of just being a light wheeled vehicle mechanic, right? Because as an MOS, there's different types of MOSs within the same field. So there's light wheel, heavy wheel, track, quartermaster, and chemical repair, and all kinds of different types of vehicles, plus generators and all that stuff, right? That's all within the maintenance field. So yeah, hopefully that kind of sort of makes sense. All right. Karima also asks, what is the tattoo waiver process like? So if it's like the National Guard, because I am by day when I'm doing my real job, yes, it for us, it's you have to test and pass medical, and then we can submit your tattoo waiver. And basically it's a matter of putting a ruler up against it, taking a few photos, submitting it along with the waiver request, and however long that process goes, depending on the component of the Army you're going into, but typically less than 30 days for a tattoo waiver. All right. But yeah, if you want to know what the tattoo policy is for the Army at this time, I have a video you could check out right now coming to the chat box. It's also linked down below to watch at your leisure. We have Angel Rebelda from Switzerland. Greetings. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much. Or is that like another way of saying Angela Rebelda? All right, so we got Moses Alvarez with the can or how do I volunteer for National Guard deployment? All right, I covered that briefly in this video. Full-time National Guard Reserve. There we go. Coming into the chat box. But there's a website called Tour of Duty, and until it changes, you're going to have to use a DoD, meaning a Department of Defense, government-issued computer, whether it's laptop or desktop, to access that website with your CAC, meaning your Common Access Card, or your Army ID card is what most people call it. Okay. So with your ID or CAC, that will log into that website in a government computer through a VPN. It's something that basically encrypts your time online to prevent hackers from gaining pertinent in classified information and so on and so forth. But yeah, you could easily talk to your unit within the National Guard to see if there are other units within your state and do it internally. But if you want to deploy possibly at a national level, so basically what the Tour of Duty website does is it's kind of like Indeed, right? It lists all the MOSs across the country for various units that are looking for people to fill these slots so they can go to get deployed. And that's how that works. Or you can volunteer for state missions, like in the New York Army National Guard. We have our regular state active duty mission, which is our Joint Task Force Empire Shield, which is kind of like our anti-terrorism type unit, where we are more or less a show of force to prevent potential terrorists from planning or executing another attack, and to assist the various law enforcement agencies at key locations throughout the city and possibly throughout the state, but mostly in New York City. And then we have this relatively new asylum seeker mission. So those who are seeking asylum from other countries, those illegal immigrants that are crossing the border, they're making their way into New York and other big cities throughout the country, currently wreaking havoc. but we are there to make sure that we escort them to and from their room at the various hotels or where they're staying, making sure that they're being fed, basically looking for employment, more of a permanent residence to continue their process in seeking asylum and all that good stuff. And now what's coming up very rapidly, which was announced today on national television, our governor announced that she's going to be activating 750 National Guard soldiers to participate in basically maintaining, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically being a show of force in the subway system, checking bags, looking for weapons and such. And she announced that, well, I'll avoid the political stuff, but more or less we're going to be a show of force in the subway systems and the transportation hubs throughout New York City. And to help mitigate some of the crime that's going on that has significantly increased here in New York City. So it's been getting very, very interesting, and I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, but that's another thing, another opportunity for soldiers in the New York Army National Guard to volunteer for. And I'm always going to support opportunities for full-time employment within the National Guard. So if you are in the Guard and that's something you want to do, definitely reach out to your unit and holler at them and say, hey, I want a piece of that pie. You know what I'm saying? So but that's that. All right, so we got Catholic Vagabond says, I'm already getting a lot of tattoos removed, but do I have to get my teeth fixed before I go into basic training, or can I get them fixed while in the Army? All right, without any further context to specifically what's going on with your teeth, in general, as long as no more than 30% of your teeth need work, then you can typically join and it will get done at the reception site. Now, if you get to the reception site and it's worse than 30%, you're going to run the risk of a waiver being submitted, but expected to get disapproved until you get that work done before leaving. So if you have the insurance and you have the ability to get some of that work done to get so that less than 30% of your teeth requires work out of the way, then you are going to significantly improve your ability to be able to join and or get through the reception process and begin basic training. All right. Now, as far as tattoos are concerned, what I always tell people with a disqualifying tattoo is don't even bother wasting your time and money yet to get them removed unless you get a waiver request denied. Then I would exercise your abilities to work on getting it removed. And it does not have to be fully removed. And I say that to say this. Now, that doesn't mean you do 1 or 2 sessions and that's it. When I say, when you get to the point where you're doing these sessions and it's no longer removing anything and it begins to create scar tissue, then you're at that point where you're just doing more harm than good. At that point, I would resubmit an appeal of your tattoo waiver request. And at this point, because you showed good faith to the Department of the Army that you're trying to get rid of this tattoo, but now it's just simply scarring and you can't do anything further, now they'll, in my experience and what I gathered through talking to other recruiters from other components of the Army, is that the Army will approve that tattoo waiver request. So again, if your tattoo waiver is denied, then I would exercise the ability to get it removed to the point where it's either A, removed, or B, begin scarring. And then I would, at that point, take new photos with the rulers and whatever that's in accordance with the tattoo waiver policy, submit that waiver request again and appeal that denial. All right. And again, if you get to that point, it should get approved. Obviously, it doesn't have to. It's up to the waiver authority, but in my experience, it typically does at that point. All right, but good luck to you. All right, we got Clyon. What are the requirements to be a National Guard working as a K9 cop? I'm going to assume that you mean working as a K9 unit within the National Guard. That is not going to happen. All right. Now, if you deploy as a K9, which is 31 kilo, I believe is what it is, 31K, then yes, you'll do that for the duration of the deployment. But the National Guard does not have K9 units. Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there so you know. So go as a 31 Bravo, and if you ever get deployed to Guantanamo Bay or something like that, when you're working at like a prison or a specific deployment that requires 31 kilos, they would possibly entertain reclassing you as a 31 kilo and deploy in that capacity. But you're not going to be a part-time soldier as a 31 kilo. All right. At least not at entry level. All right. All right. So Chris Crutherd says, I have to do 2 drills before I ship to basic on May 6th. Kind of nervous. Any advice on drills? Watch my video, RSPV, coming at you in the chat box. Also link down below. Don't stress about RSP. RSP is just a taste of what's coming. All right. Now, I may have a different view on how RSP should be run as far as like from a drill sergeant's perspective, or the, what's the word? Kind of like the, it shouldn't be like the real red phase of basic training. And I feel like unless you are a drill sergeant in the RSP, I feel, because this is what I've witnessed. It's the drill sergeants, the drill sergeant qualified recruiters at RSP, they're not that crazy. And when I say by crazy, I mean like over the top. It's the drill sergeant wannabes that have not been through the drill sergeant academy who go crazy. The yelling, the belittlement, or the words that they shouldn't be using, and excessive PT in the form of corrective training. Right? AR 350-6 clearly says 2 exercises split between upper and lower extremities, but no more than 20 repetitions. Okay. Now, obviously there are ways around that, but if you're a drill sergeant, you would know that. But if you're not, it's just, you know, the overhead arm clap. All right. That's not a PRT exercise. And that's another thing. It's got to be a PRT exercise. So I have my mindset on it. I feel like in the RSP, yes, we're going to instill discipline. Yes, we're going to coach, mentor, and teach you. We literally only have you for 2 days a month until you ship out. There's no way that we should expect you to be proficient in anything in that time there. So yeah, I just feel like some people just make RSP more than what it really needs to be. And I feel like it should be more of a mentorship and coaching approach, while still instilling discipline and giving you a taste of what basic training is like, but not over the top to the point where it scares people from even shipping. Then again, if they get scared at RSP or the Future Soldier Program, they probably shouldn't be going in the Army, but that's just neither here nor there. But it's not that serious, okay? The worst thing any drill sergeant or cadre could ever make you do is push-ups or some sort of physical activity in the form of corrective training, right? So if they identify a deficiency and you messed up, the worst thing they can do is make you do physical activity. All right. It's that easy, right? Whatever that person says to you, whether it's a drill sergeant or cadre, just don't take it personal. You'll be all right. All right. So good luck in basic training. Make us proud. Now for David Peterson, love your channel. My granddaughter is in the process of joining the South Carolina National Guard, taking the ASVAB next week. I'm sending her your videos each week. Thanks for all that you do. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, David. And good luck to your daughter. Tell her I said that I'm proud of her. All right. And I'm sure you guys are going to be even more proud of her on graduation day for sure. All right. So we got Levi Jackson says, not going to lie, I will say your live streams helped me make the decision to join the Army a little over a year ago. That's what I'm talking about. See, these are the things that I don't get credit for as an individual recruiter, and I appreciate that, and thank you for the positive feedback. I'm just happy to be able to help you out, but in the end, it is all you. I had nothing to do with it, and what I think that my channel does for some people is those of you that are on the bubble, afraid to pull the trigger and actually commit to joining, I think that I have a good ability to make you feel more comfortable by taking the edge off of the fear of the unknown or the uncertainty on certain things, and to provide you enough information to understand the process so that you don't feel like you're being lied to or whatnot, because I'm probably the most informative channel on YouTube to date. And if you did find somebody that's as informative as me, let me know, because I'll learn a two or thing from them as well, probably. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. But with that being said, I appreciate you nonetheless, and good luck in the next chapter of your Army career, for sure. All right, so we got, skip somebody. So we got Joshua Daniel Torres. It says, I just passed the ASVAB with a 38, and for the medical, they asked to submit a waiver for a mini invasive surgery that I had last November. What kind of job should be available? All right, the job has nothing to do with your disqualification. Your jobs is, and I'm going to put this in here so you have a better understanding, which we'll go into more detail in this video. But for a little quick disclaimer, the walkthrough of the goarmy.com website of the putting your line scores to figure out what job skills you qualify for, that has been removed from the website when they revamped it. But I added an Excel sheet in the description that you can open up on your computer and plug in your new line scores. And the most important piece is choose if you are or are not a U.S. citizen. Anything that remains highlighted is potentially a possibility. The rest of the video will explain the insights, the things to be aware of and to understand when going through this process, okay? Now, as far as the medical stuff, yes, you are going to be disqualified, more than likely going to require a medical waiver. And that, my friend, is what you're going to have to watch right here. Both of these videos are going to be linked down below if you want, but just so you're aware, you are going to need a waiver. You're going to need to recover from that and essentially get an all clear letter and listen to the video, screenshot the part where I show you what we're more or less looking for in that all clear letter. But with that being said, thank you so much, Joshua. I'm going to come back to you, John, because I just got a super chat. And as previously described in the intro, every time I get a super chat, I always like to highlight it on the screen. First of all, thank you, Catholic Vagbond. I appreciate your support to the channel. And as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your videos saved my life, and I'm going to be joining up in the next 2 years. Question: I'm 5'11" and I weigh 235 pounds, but I'm very muscular and naturally larger. I am going to drop down to 190, but is there wiggle room? All right, Catholic, let me throw something out there real quick. If you are consistently training in the gym and in your words, you are muscular and naturally larger. If you're muscular, that tells me that you probably spend a good chunk of time in the gym, which means that you are physically and aesthetically built. So your body fat is probably going to be lower than the average person being that height, that weight, who does not work out, who is not muscular. So I say that to say this. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to be an individual who is going to meet the height and weight standards, which means that you're going to get taped. And the person I like to use in this example is I met a bodybuilder. Well, he wasn't technically a bodybuilder. He didn't even compete, but his mindset, work ethic, he lived, breathed crap in the gym every day. This guy is a beast. Anyhow, he was like 8 to 10% body fat, still failed height and weight. So my friend, as long as you meet the body fat percentage of your age and gender, then you're good to go, right? So typically, you didn't say how old you were, but 17 to 21 is 24%. If you're over 21, it's like 26%. And if you're dumb older, then like 26 to 28%, something like that. But if you were, whatever your age and gender is, right, you're allowed up to a certain percentage. And you're allowed to go beyond that 2%, but no more than 2% under the ARMS 1.0 program, which means is if you're no more than 2% over your maximum allowable body fat per your age and gender, then you will be scheduled for basic training. No issues, no problems. Now, if you're beyond 2%, but no more, then now 8%, which is a recent update. So as long as you're between 2, but no more than 8% over your maximum allowable body fat per your age and gender, then you can join through the 09 Mike program. Okay, previously it was no more than 6%, but now it's no more than 8%. All right, and then you'll have up to 90 days to lose the body fat to get within that 2% window of your maximum allowable body fat. So hopefully that makes sense. And I think honestly, I have had people at 5'8" or 5'10" at 225 and pass the normal body fat percentage, depending on their age. So in my opinion, I think that you should get with your local recruiter. They'll measure your neck, measure your waist. All right, because right now we're still going off of the old standard at MEPS. So it's just beneath the Adam's apple around your neck, and from your navel, your belly button, parallel to the marking surface, meaning the ground, parallel, right? Nice and even. They measure those two things and we calculate it. And yeah, so if you want to DM me, direct message me on Instagram at Team SWARTZ, your measurements of your neck and your waist and your age and your height and weight, then I'll calculate everything for you and let you know if you're within the standard or not, or just get with your local recruiter. 100%. All right, but appreciate the support of the to the channel and all that good stuff. That means a lot to me. And honestly, between you and me, I think you're gonna be just fine, especially if you're muscular and you have a small waist. You know what they say about snatch waist, right? I'm just kidding. All right, so before I move on, I'm waiting for it to show up on StreamYard here. I see that it's on YouTube, but I'm not seeing it here on the platform here. Oh, it is here. All right, cool. So we got another super chat coming in from The Officials TV. Thank you. Cheers. That's what I'm talking about. All right. What are the pros and cons of guard versus active duty? Oh, man. That is going to be a long, super long-winded response. So I'll give you a little bit, but I'm going to direct your energy to this video here, which will deep dive on that topic. All right, it's in the chat box now, and you'll find it linked down below. But pros and cons. All right. When you're active duty, real quick, you have full-time pay, full-time benefits, job security, stable financial freedom as long as you live frugally, because in the beginning pay sucks, but over time as you gain more rank, the longer you're in service, the more you get paid. And if you have a family, then there's the potential of getting housing allowance, and if you live beneath your means, then there's a chance to earn extra money, right? So like I get like over $4,000 for housing allowance, but my rent is $1,600, about to be $1,700, right? And when that, so I get to pocket the rest of that money because I found a cheaper place to live in. Now, New York City, I could easily find some place that's $4,000 plus a month, right? Easily if I wanted to, but you know, live beneath your means, make your money work for you, reinvest it in other ways. But anyway, to go to your, to continue on, right? And after 20 years, if you retire full time, then you get to receive your pension immediately after you exit the military. Whereas in the guard, it's part-time pay, part-time benefits. Well, could have like great benefits, but it's part-time, right? So you don't have that full-time financial freedom and consistency. You're gonna have to work another job, obviously, to live, unless you plan on living with mom and dad until, you know, day's end. But with that being said, active duty, very restricted. Army always comes first, even when you're in the Guard Reserve. But when you're on active duty, you got these 24-hour shifts for what they call CQ and staff duty, and it can be very, very inconvenient. It can definitely ruin your plans. Early mornings, could be there late. You're not working a 40-hour work week. It's closer to like 50 or 60 hours, honestly. And you could be in the field from anywhere from a couple days to upwards to a month or so, depending on the type of unit and the job that you're in. Where in the Guard, you have more flexibility because you can literally live your life as you see fit full-time, whether it's going to school full-time or part-time, combination of thereof, entrepreneur, whatever, right? But for that 1 week in a month, you're going to do your job in the National Guard. So that's real quick what I have to share with you, but that video is going to deep dive in those areas and then some. But appreciate the support. Thank you very much. And thank you. As I'm scrolling up to where I last left off, do me a favor. Those of you that are tuned in right now, do me a huge solid and hit that like button. Smash it if that's something you're into. But definitely like the video if I'm adding value to anything that I share with you today. So with that being said, coming up to Joe John. Says, I have watched you for a while and would like to reach out to you, but don't have Instagram. Do you have an email address? I am located in New York as well. So I'll give you my government number. And again, only use this number if you're in New York City. All right, but for everybody else, you can email me right there. Did I post properly? TSM. There we go. And this is my email, teamswartzmedia@gmail.com. All right, but holla at me. We'll talk. Killsue 247. Hi from Texas. That's what I'm talking about. Also asks, do congressional inquiries usually work out in the recruiter's favor, especially if they are upstanding character? A friend might have been rejected based on a drug and alcohol test. That's a career ender right there. I mean, it's really up to the commander and whether or not they want to retain them. But yeah, those are usually a career ender, unfortunately. I don't get it. Why do y'all, not you, but I don't know why people think that they're going to be able to do drugs and get away with it. We are randomly tested throughout your career for sure. But yeah, it could help, but we have policies for a reason. So Sean, hashtag Team SWARTZ with the clover. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Now we have Eric. Tomorrow I'm taking the ASVAB test. If I score a 70, for example, can the Army still choose an MOS for me, even though I choose a certain MOS? I'm going to regular active duty, regular Army. Hashtag Team SWARTZ. All right, Eric. Oh, I didn't click on it yet. So here we go. All right, this is the video for you. This is going to explain to you that and then some in that video. But with that said, the 70 doesn't mean much. It's the line scores that's going to provide you the opportunities. But in that video, I'm going to share with you how you can look up your scores. So ignore the walkthrough. I just said it before, but there's an Excel sheet down in the description area. Open that up on a computer. Plug in your line scores, choose if you're a U.S. citizen or not, and that will tell you what you're otherwise qualified for. The rest of the video will address what it is that you're talking about. But if you're going active duty, it's always going to be based on the needs of the Army. And as I will express in that video, if you're financially stable and you can wait it out and you want to play that game, then yes, get what you're looking for if you're otherwise eligible for it, and it eventually becomes available. So check that out, and good luck to you. For the time I'm in basic IT, will I get both of my apartment? For the time I'm in basic and AIT, will I get BAH for the, okay. I thought that said both, but it's BAH. My eyes are horrible. For the apartment I have in Brooklyn. If you have a legitimate lease or a co-op lease or a condominium, right? If the paperwork's legit, then, oh, hang on, you're going active duty, right? Oh, nah, fam. You have to give up that apartment. No, you're not getting BAH for that apartment. Nope, you're going to have to put that stuff in storage, unfortunately. If you were guard or reserve, then you would get BAH. Assuming that you are a single soldier. But if you're married with dependents or just simply married, then yes, you'll get BAH until you get to your first duty station. All right, so Mr. Fusion says, could you name some reasons to why Army is the best branch out of the other ones? Couldn't tell you that, mister. You know why? You know why I'm not going to do that? Now, I think Army was a great option for me and is a great option for many, but whether or not I feel like it's better than anyone else, the only reason why I would say the Army National Guard would be the better fit for people who are wanting to be part-time and focus 100% of their efforts on college is because the National Guard has state and federal benefits. So whether you're full-time Army or Army Reserve or National Guard, we all have that same $4,000 per year through the federal tuition. But because the National Guard is state, you could get up to 100% through your state tuition. Like in New York, as long as you're going for your first 4-year degree, we're paying 100% of your tuition fees. So you don't even need to touch your federal tuition. So I'll put that video here in the chat box real quick. That breaks down the education benefits. But aside from that, and like I say it all the time on my channel, like I don't know you. I don't know what makes you tick. I don't know what your goals are, your aspirations, what are your deal breakers, what your interests are, what are things that you're not interested in. things of that nature, right? Your hobbies, like these are things that I get to know throughout your joining process, to the point where once we get to that point where we're choosing a job, I could intelligently or intellectually suggest something based on what you've shared over the time of me getting to know you. But I don't know you, Mr. Fusion, and I won't do that because other options or other branches could be a good fit for you. It really depends on what's important to you and what you're willing to go for. The only thing I can suggest to you is, if you're comparing two different branches or more, is I will say this, that most branches pretty much outside of education benefits offer the same thing for the most part. So it's literally like, where do you gravitate to more, right? So if your heart is gravitating to, let's say, the Air Force more than the Army or the Marines, and they're all the same as far as benefits and being full-time and whatever it is that you're looking for, then I'm just going to suggest that you go for the one that your heart is leaning towards, right? Unless there's an extenuating circumstance or a specific reason or situation that warrants you to explore other options. But if your heart is set on one branch, but others are telling you to go to another branch, I'm going to say, do you, boo-boo. Do you. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. All right, Pep. What MOS are needed the most in the Army? What MOSs are you need the most in the Army? Okay, so same question. So whatever is based on the needs of the Army at that time. So your recruiter will share with you a list of jobs or MOSs that are available to you at this time based on your test results, citizenship, driver's license, and other factors, to include your medical condition and so on and so forth. And off of that list, you could choose from there. Right? So it's kind of like, think of it like at McDonald's. When you get the Happy Meal, they don't have the same toy every time you go there. It rotates, right? I mean, maybe a horrible example, but you're not going to get the same toy every single time when you go to McDonald's for your kid, right? With the Happy Meal. It's going to change. So it's based on the needs of the Army, right? The needs change. So as things fill up, other things decline, and we're playing that juggle game to keep everything where it needs to be. Hopefully that makes sense. Alexis says, you might have answered this question. What branch is the most lenient when it comes to tattoos? I have a neck tattoo. Hands down, it's going to be the Navy for sure. But if you're checking out the Army, we're kind of lenient. I've seen some pretty wild stuff get approved, especially for active duty regular Army. But if you're trying to go guard, then it's 50-50. But the Navy has the most lenient tattoo policy for sure. Karima also asks, my recruiter told me having an EpiPen is automatic disqualification. I've been in contact with my doctor and we did a consumption test and passed. When I get discharged from it, MEP still sees what was issued. Yes, absolutely. So I actually am going to do a short video on this in the future at some point. But yes, it sounds like you're doing exactly what I would have suggested to you. So yes, under normal circumstances, if it's in the system that whatever allergy you have requires an EpiPen, because it's assumed, or maybe you had an issue when you were a child that you kind of outgrew, that required an EpiPen to save your life. Like, for example, my boss had to have one in the freezer in the back of the service station I worked at. God forbid he consumed some sort of spicy pepper, right? Like, even just the aroma of peppers jalapeno peppers on a pizza on Friday lunch, because people would buy that, like, he would start sweating. That's how bad his allergy is. Now, what I would normally recommend, it sounds like you already did, was you consume this in front of a medical professional and they observed you for a period of time, and they can vouch and verify that, yes, in the past, you have been diagnosed as being acute, severe, whatever diagnosis they level, whatever the severity level was, right? But based on the observation of the consumption of said food or whatever your allergen is, you showed mild to no signs or symptoms, and that otherwise, yes, you were diagnosed in the past, but currently now it is either significantly mitigated or minimal or non-existent. And if they can annotate that on an all clear letter stating that this consumption test was conducted on this date here, observed by a doctor here, they annotate whatever signs or symptoms that they witnessed and expressed by you in the same letter, and they basically say that based on this test here, the new diagnosis is mild or non-existent, depending on your circumstance or evidence of what transpired, and that you are otherwise cleared medically to not be a type of person, basically, however they want to word this, a non-medical emergency allergy, right? So the level of severity has dropped from acute or severe to mild to non-existent, depending on your level of reaction, if any, right? So you need a very, very strong, crystal clear, all clear letter from that allergen specialist with the results of the test, updated tests, whether it's the needles and the consumption exam with their statement of what they observed and witnessed and all that stuff. All right. But if that is the case, then you should be good to go. And waivers have been approved for these types of things only after the consumption test. All right. But good luck to you. Alexis, what tattoos are or symbols will be a problem getting through MEPS? I heard butterflies and crowns are considered gang related and will get you permanently banned. Do you have any information on this? Honestly, it's going to be based on the perception of the guidance counselor at MEPS. Yes, the doctor is going to annotate the tattoos that you have and are certain style of stars. Never heard of butterflies. That's new to me. But then again, I don't study the FBI or law enforcement tattoo thing. Honestly, I could care less about tattoos. But anyway, unless it's like racist or something along those lines that are perceived to be more offensive. But part of the waiver process, if I were to process an applicant that had what appeared to be a gang-related tattoo, I would factor in their ethnicity, where they live, and have they ever been arrested for gang-related activities or arrested at all. It would be in your best interest if you have had no criminal activity to include a clean driving record if you have a driver's license. But I mean, if you do, then it is what it is. But if it's truly not a gang-related tattoo, I would definitely get very strong character references of very, very important people in your life. Like if you were in high school and you just graduated recently, or even if you went through college and whatnot, the type of character references we're looking for are teachers, professors, maybe organized sports, supervisors or managers that you've worked with in the past, that were leadership over you and who have observed you for some time. And those types of things are all going to be part of that waiver process. Now, again, it's based on the perception and interpretation of the people who are reviewing these tattoo requests. Again, not knowing specifically, like, I don't know. I'm curious now. I'm going to look up butterfly tattoos tomorrow. I honestly don't know what gang uses butterflies, but hey, that seems like a hardcore gang if you ask me. But stars, yeah, I can see the perception, but you complete a tattoo form, right? It says, what type of tattoo is it? Like, what is it? Like a star. What is the meaning of that star to you, right? And is it in compliance with the tattoo policy and the location of the tattoo, obviously? So, yeah. So combine all that together, then that all goes with your waiver request. So good luck to you, Alexis. Pep. All right. If I was enlisted in the Army and I finished my time in service, am I able to rejoin and become an officer? If you meet the basic eligibility requirements, then yes, absolutely. As long as you were honorably discharged. If you were prematurely discharged and received, say, an uncharacterized discharge or a general discharge or a dishonorable discharge or other than honorable discharge, then that is a no-go at this station. But as long as you were honorably discharged, you could come back if otherwise eligible for OCS for sure. So if you want to know what OCS is about, I got a video for you right here. It's also linked down below for you to check out. So good luck for you there. All right, so we got Brian Alex that says, hello, planning on joining the ROTC in the process of joining the California National Guard. What are your thoughts? I think you should go for it. As long as you think that you could add the additional military science class along with the early morning workout PT sessions, PT meaning physical training. It's going to be academically and physically exhausting because of the early mornings with PT in conjunction with all the other things that you'll be doing under your normal curriculum of college. But with that being said, ROTC is a great way to get commissioned. Why I prefer ROTC versus regular OCS, if you're already currently serving, is ROTC, you don't need a commander's recommendation letter. If you're in service and you try to go OCS, then you need a officer recommendation letter, which is usually and typically going to be your company commander. And if you are not a confident person or a introvert or maybe perceived as a person that may embarrass them or might not make it in their perception or opinion, then you might not get that recommendation letter. So to go around that, at time of enlistment, you could go OCS, or in your case, if you're going to join the National Guard to leverage the education benefits while going to ROTC, then that's another great way to commission. Again, it is going to be a lot to juggle. It is going to be stressful, but it is worth it. So as long as you have good, hard work ethic and you are responsible and very effective at time management, it can and will be done. And I highly recommend, if that's what you want to do, to explore that and to go for it. All right, full send. Hua freaking Luya. All right, so Sean, I'm going to come back to you momentarily. Uno momento, por favor, because I got another super chat from Darian Holland. So I appreciate you, Darian. It says, if you are going 09 Sierra, meaning OCS, what dictates which basic training you go to, Georgia, Oklahoma, or Missouri? So good question. However, just because you're going to OCS, it really doesn't matter where you go to basic training. Okay. If you're doing federal OCS, then that's going to be done in Georgia. All right. Fort Moore, formerly known as Fort Benning, Georgia. That's where you're going to do your federal OCS. Okay. Now, regular basic training, could it possibly be in the same location? Absolutely. But for OCS, 09 Sierra, you could do basic training at either one of the 4 locations. That is for Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Fort Moore, Georgia, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and Fort Jackson, South Carolina. All right, but if you're doing state OCS with the National Guard, then you're going to be doing that at your local RTI or an RTI that they choose for you if you're doing like the accelerated course. So that video will break down the 3 different options, or 3 options if you're going National Guard, but only 1 option if you're going regular Army or Army Reserve, because they only allow federal OCS. But hopefully that answers your question, and appreciate the support to the channel. And while I'm scrolling back up to the top here, do me a hard solid and hit that like button, y'all. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, Sean, here I am. Says, if you enlisted in the New York Army National Guard and wish to go OCS, do you have to wait to be recommended by a commissioned officer, or can you contact the officer strength manager to apply yourself? All right, good question. And that's exactly what I was sharing with you before, okay? And I'm not saying this happened to you, but I have seen more times than I can count how many recruiters who convince people to not go OCS now if they're otherwise eligible for it, and they say, just join now, get that enlisted experience, and then go OCS. In theory, that would be a more viable option, because that would give you the opportunity to be, not for a lack of a better phrase, a real soldier, but you would be a normal enlisted soldier. And that experience would give you, hopefully, if you're the right type of a person, the sense of empathy for the soldiers you're about to take lead once you commission as an officer. That would be an ideal, very good route to go before going OCS. But my advice to anybody else who meets the eligibility requirements to go OCS or 09 Sierra to be a commissioned officer, my recommendation is always going to be go from the jump. Join right now through OCS and knock it out. In your example, Sean, what you're saying is you're already in the New York Army National Guard and you're talking about the recommendation letter. And if your commander doesn't give you that recommendation letter, you're asking, can you just go to the OSM and ask this person if you could just begin the process on your own? Unfortunately, without an officer recommending you, you're not going to be able to go OCS. Now, maybe the OSM could talk to your commander and see if they can sway them to be more on the supportive end and eventually work their way into getting it. But I would try that angle. And if that angle doesn't work, what I would say is arrange an open door meeting, like invoke the open door policy to sit down with your commander and maybe your first sergeant, and be prepared to express these things. Sir, ma'am, first sergeant, the reason why I'm having this meeting today is because I want to become a commissioned officer. I feel like with the experience that I've had in school, college, or in life, being a manager, so on and so forth, I feel like I have the ability to be an effective leader. And I was told that you do not recommend my application for OCS. And I'm okay with that. But between you and me, I'd like to know how you came to that conclusion. And moving forward, let's set some benchmarks of what you would like to see me do and accomplish or improve upon to get you into the position where you would support my decision and my OCS packet. Like, what can I do moving forward to get your support and ultimately gain that recommendation letter? And whatever that person says, or those two say, do your darndest, your absolute best to fulfill those perceived deficiencies or lack thereof of whatever qualities that they're looking for. And try not to take it personal, whatever it is that they say, because some people can be very blunt and impersonable when giving criticism. Hopefully it's more in the line of a constructive criticism. But have that dialogue with your leadership and share with them why you want to become a commissioned officer, and steer clear of more pay, better benefits, so on and so forth. It's got to be geared around leadership. And so that's what I recommend to you, Sean, and I appreciate you and thank you very much. All right. No content. I am going to come right back to you because I got another super chat coming in from XL. Let's find XL. Here we go. Thank you so much, XL, for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. And this person asks, do you have an email address for further information? Yes, I do. There you go. It's also linked down below in the description area. All right. But I got you. Thank you very much, XL. And again, thank you for supporting the channel. And as I'm scrolling back up to the top, do me a favor and everybody go ahead and hit that like button. Help out the algorithm to push this out to help out the masses. And my vanity metric is to hopefully hit 100,000 by the end of this year. Definitely not going to happen, but wishful thinking. I'm not good enough for the silver plaque. All right, no content says, I am currently enlisted and in the Future Soldier program. I ship out in July. Any tips on me convincing others to join? See, I don't have tips on how to convince people to join. Because to me, in my opinion, and I'm not saying that you're trying to do this at all, but to convince someone to join, to me, in my opinion, is manipulative. I've been recruiting 20 years in July, and I have never, maybe once, I shouldn't say never, but it really depends on the person and the circumstances and the position that they're in. Like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But it's never my MO to manipulate someone into joining. My normal way of getting someone to join are those who are genuinely interested in sitting down with me to discuss a little bit about them, so I get to know them and to how and use that and how we can help them achieve their goals faster, cheaper, and better. But my approach has always been to share with them the information to help them make a well-informed decision. Like, I get paid regardless if someone joins or not. So knowing my experience when I first joined, where I was like, again, being manipulated, pressured, used car salesman tactics to get me to join, like, that's a huge turnoff. And that is the primary reason why I decided to become a recruiter, to give somebody a positive experience in joining without that dumb crap from a toxic type recruiting tactic. But with that being said, the things that I would suggest to you is have some conversations with your recruiter and say, hey, listen, when are you doing table displays at high schools or events, or doing like an organized prospecting event? I would like to attend. And then at these events, whether it's at a high school, college display, community event, whatever they have going on, if you tag along, like for me, if you're going to take your time out of your day to come help me look for people, great. Everybody that, even if I'm the only one talking to the person, because you're physically with me at that event or that prospecting activity, all the leads, that's what we call people that are interested in sitting down with you or talking to you or would like more information, those are called leads. And any lead that I acquire that day or during that time, I'm putting your name on it. And if they contract, you're getting credit for that person. Okay? So that's what I would suggest to you. Find out when your recruiter is going out, tag along, and see if your recruiter will work with you like that too. But yeah, just make sure that you keep track of Furthermore, depending on the type of, I'm not saying that your recruiter would screw you over, but keep the name and number, and I would just follow up with that person, mentor them, be like, hey, listen, if you have any questions about the joining process, this, that, whatever, I'm here to help. But your recruiter's going to take care of you. But that way, when you're keeping tabs on them, and hopefully, right, you've planted the seed when you met them, and every interaction you have with that person thereafter is like watering the seed, and hopefully it'll grow a root, right, and begin the growth process. So every time you talk to them, you're watering them, keeping them motivated, keeping the fire alive, and so on and so forth, if that makes sense. But that would be my recommendation for you. Alexis, that's for Karima. All right. So Anakin Skywalker says, if you're 6'3", what's the weight? I think he said it was like 235 in the same message, so it's confusing. TSR Moki says, yo, I'm on standby for a deployment and I want to know, how can I mentally prepare for it? Just be in the moment, man. Just focus. Like, I've never been deployed, so I can't give you like real world experience and how I handled it, but hang on. I would just say focus on the training, take it seriously, try to get as proficient, as good as you can be in preparation for that deployment. Now, I don't know if you're active duty, guard, or reserve, but live your life like you normally do all the way up to the point that you actually leave. Because sometimes you're preparing for a potential deployment, and based on observation throughout my years of being in the Army, sometimes the needs of the Army changes and that mission may get nixed and you may not even deploy or what have you, right? So I think that the way you talk to yourself in your head is how well of an experience that you're going to have in dealing with the stressors and the emotions that you may be feeling. So, and this is kind of weird, but like even like when I'm away for like annual training for like my 2 to 3 weeks in the summer, or schools that I'm away, like you'll hear people complain about, oh, the food sucks, or the living conditions aren't that great, or this cot is lumpy because it's like a prison mattress, or you know, if it's outdated or something, I don't know, whatever. But for some reason, like in my head, when I'm in those experiences, what I usually say to myself is it's going to be like, I know when it's going to end. So like I have a light at the end of the tunnel, something to aim for. I just have to survive until this day. And because of that mindset of knowing that that's the end, I'm just going to embrace the suck. Funny saying, embrace or suck. I just updated the merch store down below my channel, or you could just go to the shopping tab, I think on YouTube. And I have a sticker that says embrace the suck. And it truly is a mindset to just embrace it for what it is. Like just accept it for whatever is happening with you at that time, physically, mentally, whatever task is at hand. You just like, even though I've never been deployed, but if I were, it would be the same mindset for me is I'm going to do everything I possibly can to execute this to the best and fullest of my ability. Right. And I am going to embrace the suck. Yes, I am hot. Yes, I am cold. Yes, I am miserable, but it's going to be all right, because on this day, at this time, it's all going to be over. And I'm going to have experiences for a lifetime to look back on. And again, making the best of the situation you're in. Have fun. Obviously, there's time, or most of the time, you're going to have to be serious, but make a fun atmosphere that's congruent with the group that you're with, right? People who are in the suck together bond much, much stronger than a group that's not really in the suck. Not sure if I'm really explaining this properly, but when you're in the suck and you're in the thick of it, and everyone's miserable, everyone's in the same, for lack of a better phrase, shitty situation, it's just character development. And that's exactly what I tell myself. It's character development. It's going to make me a better person. It's going to make me appreciate the nicer things when I get back home, or whatever I thought I was in and what I'm experiencing now truly isn't that bad. So when I go back, I'm going to make the best of it, accept it for what it is, right? So again, it's more of a you choosing to have a specific mindset. And to be perfectly honest with you, one example I could probably give to you is like when I go ruck marching, because I do ruck marching for fun, for fitness. And ironically, I prefer to ruck in miserable weather, preferably in snowstorms, rainstorms, maybe not so much thunderstorms because of lightning, you know, where there's lightning, there's thunder. And your boy's been hit with lightning when I was a kid or teenager. But with that being said, when I'm on the ruck marches in the suck, embracing the suck, in that character development moment, I find myself more invigorated, more motivated, and I perform better, faster, and stronger on that ruck march than on a day where the temperatures are good or hot and the sun is out, or the skies are clear, or it's mostly sunny and it's a beautiful day out. I actually perform lesser on those days than I do on the days with the shitty weather, the cold weather, whether it's rain, snow, what have you. You would think that with the better weather that I would have a better physiological response, but I don't know. It's just something about embracing the suck. And it's a different mindset, different output. Again, I'm not sure if I'm really explaining it properly, and I'm not going to lie to you. I've never been deployed, so I couldn't tell you that, but expect the worst, expect the worst, plan for the worst, and hope for the best, right? And that's all I can really say on that. But appreciate you though. All right, so David Da Silva, I'm gonna come back to you, my friend. We got another super chat here from Future Airman. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Appreciate that so much. All right, so can you volunteer for deployments? If you are in the Air Force or the Air Guard or the Air Force Reserve, I'm pretty confident that you're going to be able to volunteer for deployments. If you're in the Army, regular Army, and well, it's probably going to be more unit geared, but if you're in a reserve or guard, yes, you can volunteer for deployments within your state or across country using a website called Tour of Duty, which I talk about in this video right here. You must have just tuned in. Oh no, it's not that video. It's this one. So with your Army ID card, or CAC, Common Access Card is what we call it, and a government issued computer, you could log onto that website and find out what it is that they have available for you to possibly deploy as. All right. And I appreciate the super. Thank you. You're very welcome, Future Airman. All right, David Da Silva, I see that you had 3 messages. If they all posted, because you labeled them 1, 3, 2, 3, and 3, 3 maybe. But David Da Silva says, 39 years old, turning 40 in May. I already got an age waiver at 39 years old. I was approved for a medical waiver and age waiver. Will I need to submit another waiver if I haven't joined before I turn 40? I'm interested in joining as Special Forces or 18, which is still Special Forces. What is the main difference, and what should I really consider if I don't pass any of them? Where will I be reclassified to? And then the third one is not visible. Oh, here it is. I have an associate's degree. I have 3 semesters left to complete a bachelor's degree. Should I complete it, or it doesn't really make a big difference? And what rank will I join for each? Not interested in 01. Well, yeah, so all right, so let me go back up to this one so I keep track of where I last left off. So with that being said, and I need you to address this right now if you're still here. Let me know real quick before I address your age waiver, because I'm going to address your Special Forces thing first. But with both the medical and the age waivers already approved, what's preventing you from joining now? Like, why are you not already contracted that you're concerned about hitting 40 in May, right? Because we're in March, then there's April, May. So like less than 2 months later, I'm assuming, is when you're going to turn 40. So with that being said, why aren't you already contracted? Second thing is, I'm going to deal with the Special Forces thing. There is an age requirement for Special Forces. I'm not really sure if 39 or 40 is too old. I'm going to assume that it is, but a Special Forces recruiter would be able to inform that to you on whether or not that meets the eligibility requirement. I know there's a minimum age requirement of being like 18 or 21. I can't remember what it is, but because in my state, we don't have Special Forces. And obviously I'm not a regular Army, full-time regular Army recruiter. So I don't put people into that opportunity, which is 18X, right? But there may be an age cutoff for Special Forces, but because they're critically low, there may be waivers for that I'm not privy to or aware of. So I would definitely address the age factor to your recruiter to see if that's going to prohibit you from going 18 series. Now, you don't get to choose what part of 18 series you're going to be, from my understanding and my limited research. The channel I would highly recommend to you is the FNG Academy, who breaks down a lot of this stuff and is a great resource for Special Forces. So I would definitely reach out to him which is Sean Buck Rogers and his team. And he's got various things. So if you are eligible for and continue to move forward towards Special Forces, that is the channel to be at for all your needs Special Forces related. There are other channels out there, but that's the main one that I throw people at. The other people I don't really know all too that much. But with that being said, I'm still waiting for your response. So I'm going to assume that you're not here. So I guess all I can say about your age thing is if you already got your medical waiver and age waiver, enlist today. Like, I don't know what you're waiting for, but no, once you hit 40, all right, I'll put it to you this way. Once your age waiver is approved, it set when your recruiter receives that approved approved age waiver, it tells you when that expires, regardless of your age. Or it may say this waiver is good for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, or up until their 40th birthday, or whatever their any possible stipulations are. So that approval of that waiver has an expiration date attached to it. So your recruiter would be able to tell you if you need one at that time or not. But yeah. Oh, okay. You did respond. Sorry, I have my phone up here. Pending a custody and divorce papers. All right, cool. Ask your recruiter tomorrow, when does that age waiver expire? Because each waiver will say when it expires, and you have up until that date to rectify or to use that waiver. Once it exceeds those dates, then the waiver has to get resubmitted. And it's usually a 1-2 day turnaround usually. All right. But if it's already approved for 39, it'll get approved for 40, in my opinion. But appreciate you. The highway, I'm going to come back to you. Let me just put a star next to it so I can see it. And because we got another super chat coming in from, who is it? Valkyrie. Uno momento, por favor. Here we go. All right, Valkyrie, thank you so much again for supporting the channel as always. Do you have a video on how to ruck? I would love to do it, but I don't know how to pack or get started. I don't have a video yet. That is on my list of things to do. And that is a video that I want to post by the end of April. But real quick, to pack it, depending on, well, I'll put it to you this way. If you don't have a hiking specific backpack or a military issue rucksack, something with a back plate that evenly distributes the weight and has a more comfortable form-fitting straps and everything, right? It just helps support the weight evenly throughout your back and body so that you're not killing the traps on your arms. And you got the cummerbund belt, the waist belt. Definitely use that. Don't worry about the egotistical people out there. Like, oh man, you use your waist belt. Oh, you're a pogue. Blah blah blah. Like, ignore that. All right, it's there for a reason. And as far as packing your rucksack, you want the heaviest items closest to your spine and highest on your back. So basically, you want it up here, closest to your spine, so you have a nice center of gravity from where the weight is distributed on your back to your knees and to your feet as you're walking. What happens is a lot of people make the mistake of putting the heaviest parts at the bottom of the bag and away from their spine. And that's going to add unnecessary stress on the hip flexors and your back and your shoulders. It just throws everything off. Short distances, cool, no problem. But once you get into like 5 miles or longer, that's when you're going to start feeling it over time. So heavy weight, closest to the spine and highest on your back as possible. And nice and tight inside the bag. What I would recommend if you want to put the exact weight. Now, I have a ruck trainer that I bought through the FNG Academy. I'm going to be doing a dedicated review on that product that I purchased with my own money. It's not cheap, but well worth the money in my opinion, based on my financial means, and it's just something I happen to love and wholeheartedly support. But anyway, I would just put like a 25-pound plate. I would start with 15 to 25 pounds if you're just starting out. I don't know what your physical fitness level is, but get like a 25-pound weight, put it like towards the top of the bag on the inside, wrap some rope from the inside of the weight and tie it to maybe the handle or something towards the top of the bag, and keep it high and tight, and then zip it up around that, and maybe put like a zip tie or a clip or something over the zippers to keep the compartment of the bag closed, right? And what that will do is, you know exactly how much weight is in your bag, and it's high and tight to your spine and on your back, right? And yeah, do it that way versus like throwing random stuff in there. But the basic training, hopefully your drill sergeants will show you with what list of items that you're going to have issued to you at basic that you're going to have to put in your bag. Again, boots and other heavy items, high and closest to your back as possible. But yeah, that's what I recommend to you. And to get started, I would start at 2 miles, see how you feel. And I think that if you're not very experienced in it, I would say 18 to 20 minutes should be your minimum, or I don't know if I should say minimum or maximum. I don't know how to really say it. But like 18 to 20 minutes. If you could do it in less than that, great. Like the Army standard is 15 minutes per mile, right? But if you're going to be just starting out, I think that the goal should be closer to 18 to 20 minutes. All right. That's what I would recommend. And then once you do 2 miles, see how you feel. And if you felt horrible afterwards, then maybe keep it like that until you feel comfortable with it. And as soon as you can get it down to like 15 minutes per mile, right? Or maybe around 16, 17 minutes. And then I would add another quarter mile, half a mile, depending on your physical fitness level and your feet, right? If you have super duper soft feet, then you might want to work your way up on the distance more gradually on a weekly basis. But that's what I recommend. But I'll do a video on it. And David De Silva, ooh, you said I had some questions that I didn't address. Okay, hang on one second. My apologies. But yeah, go for it, Valkyrie. Hang on, De Silva, I got you. Uno momento, por favor. Where was it? Oops, hang on, I think I went too far up. Oh, here we go. De Silva, 3940, was going to get age waiver. I was approved for a medical A waiver. Will I be submit another waiver? No, I covered that. I covered the age waiver. I'm interested in joining as 18X or 18 Bravo. What is the main difference? I don't know the main difference with 18 Bravo or 18X. 18X is just Special Forces overall. Now, F&G Academy, like I said before, is going to break down the different... so everyone goes through selection and all that good stuff, right? In the Special Forces training. Later on, they'll determine whether you're going to be the medic or the other thing, the radio person. Those are pretty much the two things that you're going to be as an entry-level person coming in. But they will determine what you're going to be. That's why it's an X. It's kind of like when you go active duty for regular Army, you're joining as an 11X as an infantryman. You don't know if you're going to be a Bravo or a Charlie. Your unit will dictate whether you're going to be a Bravo or a Charlie. And if you're going to be a Charlie, there's more training in addition to the regular Bravo training that you're going to learn in infantry school. So same thing with Special Forces. Once they determine whether or not you're going to be, I guess, a Bravo or the other variant within the 4-person team, which one you're going to be. All right. And what should you consider if you don't pass them? What would I get reclassified to? I mean, if you're going Special Forces and you want to be part of that hua hardcore stuff, then maybe go infantry. But it's going to be based on the needs of the Army. So I would definitely have some MOSs that you know that you're qualified for in the back of your head, so that if you are ever in that position where you're going to get reclassified, that you have some ideas of what you would like to reclass to. And if it happens to marry up with the needs of the Army, then you go that route. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification, JG. Again, we don't have Special Forces in New York, so it's not something I'm... Are you in Special Forces, JG? because we don't have any in my state, so I'm not too privy to all their information. So, Mr. Da Silva, hopefully that answers all your questions. Oh, been doing research. All right, cool. All right, good stuff. All right, so where was I? All right, so we got David. Highway, I think I was going to. Okay, yeah. So the highway. Does basic training count as active duty time? Yes, because you are on active duty. But why are you asking that question? What are you trying to figure out? Like certain benefits, retirement points? What is the why behind this question? We got back in child says, yo, what up? Deuces, how you doing? Anakin Skywalker says, do 15 tangos keep the chance to be a Black Hawk door gunner? I've heard the Army does not have a door gunner MOS. That is a really good question. We do have aviation in my area, but it's not in my area. It's like kind of sort of in my area, but because it's so far out, unless you drive, it would be significantly inconvenient to travel to that unit via public transportation, because it's like going to take like almost 3 hours to get there one way. But that's a really good question. I'd have to look into that. Honestly, I really would have to look into that. I do not have a solid response for that, and I don't want to give you bad information. But if you direct message me on Instagram at Team SWARTZ, I got you. Say less. This is my Instagram right here, coming into the chat box, and I got you. All right. The FNG Academy has the information. There you go. See, I'm always referring people that are asking me special forces questions to them, or yeah, to them, but mostly Sean. For sure. Sandra Silos also asks, I'm 36 years old, I'm 4'10", and weigh 122 pounds. Would that be a problem? No, I think you're fine. You might even be allowed up to like 130, give or take, off the top of my head, but you're fine. Height and weight wise, you're fine. Pax Bello says, I leave for basic training around 2 on the 12th. I hurt myself last time, but I'm going back though. Well, hopefully you don't get hurt this time. Make the best of this opportunity. Have fun. And hopefully you get that W. Mr. Fusion says, does the Army do hair test? No, it's a urinalysis. I'm assuming that you're asking about the drug and alcohol test. It is not a hair follicle test. It is a urinalysis. So you can keep your hair and don't do drugs. I dare you not to do drugs. Might be showing my age there a little bit. All right, so Chris says, if I start in the Guard and then go active, does retirement transfer? All right, so this is another video I've been wanting to do for quite some time. So when it comes to retirement, right? There's active duty retirement, and then there's part-time retirement. Part-time meaning the Guard, including or encompassing the Guard and the Reserve. And with that being said, if you do 20 years of active duty, then you'll get active duty retirement, which is a bit more. And you get to receive that retirement pension immediately after you exit the military, provided you've done 20 good years of active duty service. Now, if you do 100% of your time in the Guard or Reserve and do 20 or more years, like active duty, you too will get to retire with a lot less money. But at least it's 1,000 or more by the time you retire. But you don't get to collect that retirement pension until you hit age 60 years old, or maybe 62, but definitely 60 at minimum. Right? So furthermore, if you combine your reserve and active duty time and you do 20 years, you'll retire as a reservist. So if you want active duty retirement, you must do 20 active years. You could do both active and reserve time to get 20 years, But because it's a combination of reserve time and active duty time, you're going to retire as a reservist. So I'll use myself for example. I hit 23 years of service last month. I only have 19 years of active duty time as a recruiter. This July, I will hit my 20-year mark, and I will receive a second 20-year letter. I already have my 20-year letter as a reservist in the National Guard, and after July 29th of this year, I will receive a 20-year retirement letter for active duty time. So if I were to retire between now and say July 28th, I will have to retire as a reservist. But July 29th and further, I can retire as an active duty service member. Hopefully that makes sense. Gustavo says, hashtag Team SWARTZ, your videos inspired me to join. I signed with the California Army National Guard and shipping in August. Question, what should I expect at reception time in basic? Is there a medical process like MEPS? There is a medical process, slightly different. And I did a video right here, but with that being said, you're going to ignore the Rona references within that video. Everything else is still tried and true with the current processes. You're welcome. And good luck. Make me proud. Make us all proud. All right. Kill Sue says recruits, not recruiter. Shoot. What was that about? I don't recall now. My apologies. Pep also asks, how do I get LORs before becoming a letter of recommendations for becoming an officer? You just have to find an officer that knows you well enough that's willing to put their name on paper to recommend you to become a commissioned officer. It's usually, like I said, typically going to be a company commander, but it's got to be somebody that knows you very well. Creed SQ says, I scored a 92 on the ASVAB and want to go into the 18X MOS. I am a 19-year-old. Would it be better to start into a different MOS now and reclassify when I turn 20, or should I wait until I'm 20? Well, I'm not sure if you're still here, Creed, but if you are, I'll try to pay attention here. But how many months is it going to take you to hit 20 years old? All right. But I'll put it to you this way. If you are impatient and you cannot wait, then I would recommend join as infantry. That will give you the tactics training, the physical conditioning to set you up for special forces in the future. And it's very good because infantry not only teaches you heavily on the tactics training, but you do a hell of a lot of land navigation. So those two skill sets are going to be extremely valuable to you, and the ability to embrace the suck as well as an infantryman in the things that they do in basic training, or in OSUT rather, one station unit training. So that would, in my mind, in my theory, 10 months. Got you. All right. Have you already passed the ASVAB? Well, I think you said you did. Did you pass the medical exam, Creed? Just a quick yes. Either way. If you don't mind waiting it out and then go straight into well, yeah. I don't know. You could do both ways. Option one is you wait, contact the FNG Academy, right? Because they're going to refer you to, I think the guy is either formerly Special Forces or still Special Forces. I can't recall. Either way, the guy is experienced and he's very, very well, and he's helped hundreds, if not thousands of people get physically ready for Special Forces selection. So if you have the means and the ability to wait it out and you take charge of your own fitness leading up to the time that you leave, then I would definitely go that route. Okay. Now, if you are impatient, like I said, infantry school is going to help you with the tactics training and the land navigation and get you to a basic level of physical fitness, condition you for the ruck marches, land navigation, and all that stuff, which is going to help you in your future endeavors as special forces. It will enhance your experience basically, but it's up to you. You do what you think is best. All right. And Tony Tone, I'm going to come back to you. Just going to scroll back up here. David De Silva, I see your super chat here. It says, I forgot to ask about poor credit. So this is 3 of 3, and there's nothing on here about your credit, poor credit. All right, unless it's just not showing up on my end, but that was 3. This was message 2. Again, nothing to do with poor credit. And your initial comment, again, with no credit questions. But let's go to the bottom. So I want to give you the credit due. Appreciate the super chat again. All right, it does go a long way. And to answer your question, it says you forgot the question, I think, or you're telling me I forgot, because whatever. But either way, I have poor credit. So having a poor credit score is not going to prevent you from joining or going into a top secret clearance position like special forces. I can't remember if you were trying to go special forces or not. But with that being said, it's the credit history that's going to be in question. You could be a brand new person with credit and have a horrible credit score. That was me when I was 19 years old, and I opened up my first account ever, and it would happen to be with Verizon with a cell phone. They wanted a $900 deposit because my credit score was ground zero, like 500 and something, right? And it wasn't because I had bad credit, it's just I had no credit, right? No credit history. So credit score means nothing. Now, the things that will matter and will prevent you from going into a secret clearance, and more so for a top secret clearance like special forces, is like late payments, right? Charge-offs, collections, bankruptcy. Because what that's showing them is that you're an fiscally irresponsible person. And because we don't know you, you're a higher risk of being susceptible to possible bribes in the future. So I'm not sure your exact and unique situation, but you retracted your message. I don't know what you put, but what I would say is if it's like a late payment or two, then it's fine. And let's say it was during COVID and you lost your job and it makes sense, but you paid off the debt, they'll look down on that. But because you did the responsible thing, that once you got financially stable, you were able to take care of your debt, then they would overlook it, right? But if it wasn't Rona and the excuse doesn't make sense and you were just being irresponsible, and let's say you went for bankruptcy and you took the easy way out, not that that necessarily means that it was an easy way out, but for a lack of a better phrase and them possibly using the same phrase, you might have to come up with a payment plan in place and maybe even pay off some of these debts. Even if it was a charge off and the company already wrote it off, like it went to collections and you still didn't pay the collections agency and it just fell off and it's a closed case, then that's going to count against you. And the investigator is going to ask you, when are you going to pay it off? Right. But to take it a little bit further, as a new person coming in, again, we're not going to trust any reference that you give us. So any character reference that you give us, we're not going to trust it. So the ability to get a top secret clearance position with poor credit, depending on the dollar amount, the rhyme or reason to why you never paid that debt or whatever the case may be, if it's bad enough, associates. Oh yeah. Sorry. The associate's degree is E3. So 48 or more college credits or a 2-year degree, you'll come in as a private first class All right. Only a 4-year degree holder will get you an E4. All right. At time of enlistment. That was an easy one. Yeah, I did miss that. But thank you for reminding me. But when it comes to credit, again, we're not going to believe the references that you give us. So when you join, you might have to choose an opportunity that does not require any type of clearance or a lesser clearance to get your foot in the door. And then after 2 or 3 years of stellar experience of you being on time, being a good soldier, maybe earning some awards, being evaluated phenomenally for the good work ethic that you perform, now the investigator will basically not scrutinize your financial history as much, because now they have people that they can trust to reach out to ask your work ethic, your character. Have you ever done anything crazy and any disciplinary issues and poor work ethic and so on and so forth, like by contacting your former squad leaders, team leaders, platoon sergeants, platoon leaders, first sergeants, company commanders, so on and so forth, because they're going to take everything what they say for face value. But they're not going to trust any other person before that, if that makes sense, as a civilian. So hopefully that addresses your question and concern when it comes to your financial poor credit question. But thank you. As I'm scrolling up here, trying to find out where I last left off, do me a favor, y'all. Hit that like button. Appreciate you. All right. So Tony Tone says, I'm just coming in. Evening all. Do you know the age limit for joining? I'm older than 30. The website is vague. The age cutoff is 35 years old, or your 35th birthday rather, but waivers can be entertained up until 47 years old, is based on what the waiver department expressed to us during a class that they taught our battalion this past January. So they've approved waivers up to 37 years old. BPNT says, how long is the ASVAB score valid for after you take the test? And I passed. Each test is, whether you pass or fail, is good for 2 years. And you're only allowed to take 4 tests or 4 attempts within a 2-year, 24-month period. Anakin Skywalker says, 6'3", 265 pounds, 22 years old. Is that too heavy? Yes. Not sure what your measurements would be, but you got to be at or below your maximum allowable body fat for your age and gender. So get with your recruiter, get measured, find out what your body fat percentage is, and as long as it's below that or whatever is acceptable through the 09 Mike program, you should be good to go. Again, the 09 Mike program is coming into this video in the chat box now. It's also linked down below for you to check out. Appreciate you. And let's see. Lance Melvin asks, can they see mental health records when you first get in? It used to be like 50-50, but it seems like they're catching everything 100% of the time, or like 98% of the time. But just assume that they do see everything. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, MHS Genesis coming in the chat box right now. I have 2 videos that will deep dive on this particular topic with the updates coming in now, and that will give you a thorough understanding of what it is. Basically, it's a DoD subscribed or contracted company that affords the DoD, Department of Defense, the ability to be able to look into your medical records electronically. Because in the past, people would withhold certain things like ADD, ADHD, depression, suicide attempts, this, that, whatever, certain surgeries or other medical things, and they would get in because the military just wouldn't know about it unless you say it or it was identified during the medical exam. So this mitigates the issue of people not doing what they're supposed to do, to include recruiters, and hold everyone accountable and make you go through the process like a normal person would. And it's wreaking havoc across the nation. In my opinion, I don't think that we have a Genesis issue. I think that we have I'm not going to mention this organization by name, but it rhymes with NEPS. But yeah. Breezy, can I become an officer if I have no leadership skills and work experience? I just graduated with a... yeah, it's possible. Now, if you go on a reserve or guard, it's probably going to be a little bit easier. But if you're going active duty, it's probably going to be a little bit more competitive and more of a requirement having some sort of experience. But it's not like just work experience. It could be like you were the captain of a football team or some like academic group that you were a part of, that you were a leader in as well. It doesn't have to be like employment leadership, if that makes sense. The Try Hard Tuesday. Any tips for someone 30 years old, leaving for basic in 2 weeks, for passing ACFT, APFT? Unfortunately, I struggle with a lot of the times with the push-ups. 190 pounds at 5'9". You're welcome, Lance. All right, so the only way to get better at push-ups is to do more push-ups. So watch this video because you're shipping out soon. So these two videos, what to pack is one, but this one's going to address your question more. BCT prep. All right, how to prepare for basic training. So not only is the prepare for basic training video going to have a workout program and suggestions, but there's workout programs that you could download in the description. And there's other things like finances and other things that you're going to need to know or be aware of to prepare mentally, fiscally, and physically for basic training. But with that being said, the only way is to do push-ups. So do as many normal push-ups as you can. And then once you can't do any more, drop to your knees until you can't do any more of those. And then once you get to that point of muscle failure, I would wiggle my way up to the up position as much as possible. Start at the front lean and rest position, which is a up position with your arms locked out, and then slowly, or as slow as you can, lower your body down to the ground, get to your knees, wiggle yourself back up to the top, and you repeat that process. That's called negatives. So you start from the top position and slowly lower yourself to the ground. All right, so you're omitting the push-up part, so you're just doing it reverse. You're just working the descent rather than the ascent and descent, if that makes sense. So negatives is what's going to make you stronger, right? And consistently doing this every day or every other day over the next, I would say do this because it's going to muscle failure. I would do this every other day. I would not do this every day. But yeah, do as many regular push-ups as you can. Drop to your knees. Just make sure your back is nice and straight. I don't want to see your butt like a 90-degree angle, right? It still should remain as straight from your knees, from your head to your tailbone straight, right? Or from your head to your knees, should be a straight line. All right, and in the Army we call that the 6-point push-up. All right, not called the girly push-up. Very effective if done properly without your butt sticking out in the air, like I said. So if your butt is more in the 90-degree angle, that means your butt is in the air and you're not really doing anything. You're not getting anything out of it. You gotta keep it nice and straight from your head through your tailbone all the way down to your knees, nice and straight. All right, but that's what I would recommend. Daniel Hicks says, and you're welcome, the Try Hard Tuesday. Daniel Hicks says, I got promoted to E4, but I'm still in RSP. How long do I have to wait to be a sergeant? Haven't looked at the regulation in a while, but it's going to be a minimum of 24 to 36 months before you can start competing for sergeant. Lance Melvin, how far back does the background check look? Your entire life. When it comes to criminal stuff, your entire life. But as far as like where you went to school, where you worked, when you went school, work, and lived, they go back 10 years. But for like criminal stuff, your entire life. Liddy says, can over 40-year-old go OCS with a waiver? Told over 40 only get 2 waivers. I have 1 waiver for age and another waiver for medical. My recruiter says can't get a 3rd. Is that true? Going Army Reserve. Listen, there is no limit to how many waivers you need. It's either The thing that's going to prevent you from joining, if you're getting a medical waiver and an age waiver, that only leaves you one other type of waiver that you could need, and that's a moral waiver. Unfortunately, to be a commissioned officer, to go OCS, you can't pretty much have any criminal history. So, if your third waiver is a moral waiver, then you're probably not going to qualify for OCS. Yeah, I hear that. In my opinion, as long as you have the GT line score and you're otherwise eligible to go warrant, it's easier to get waivers for age and stuff like that for warrant. I'm not a warrant officer recruiter, so that's not fact, but in my opinion, based on conversations with the warrant officer recruiter in the past, that's what he said. They can pretty much get waivers for everything except for citizenship and GT line score, at least for the National Guard. Oh, just for OCS? I think your recruiter's talking horseshit. The only waiver you're not going to be authorized for OCS is moral for law violations. I say go to the National Guard. You said you were going reserve, right? Yeah, if you're going reserve and they're going to make that argument, I would say just go Army National Guard. Because one, they might not approve your waiver for federal OCS, but with our state OCS, I think you have until 42 or 44 to commission as an officer. Check out this video here. All right. Because you can get all those waivers in the National Guard. I don't know about why the reserve is making the excuse. I think your recruiter is just looking for an easy number is what he's looking for. That's just my opinion based on what you're sharing with me. But yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I would say check out the National Guard. Like if I mean, it's going to be a process, obviously, because I mean, you don't have to redo the medical and everything. You just have to transfer your MEPS data from the other recruiter to the National Guard, and we have to do our own waivers. But the hard part's over. You've already completed everything. It's just a matter of resubmitting our own waivers to get approved. But yeah, you don't need an OCS waiver with us because you can go through state OCS, and no age waiver would be required. And you would just need the age waiver and the medical waiver. Soldier of God says, what are your thoughts on Genesis? I actually don't mind Genesis because it's finally catching up with the civilian world, because the civilian world's already been doing this. I just wish that MEPCOM, who governs the policies on what's acceptable or not, figure out quicker on what's like it's forcing them to reevaluate on what's acceptable and what's not. Like recently, we just got a new update this past week that ADHD was no longer a 36-month waiting period from the medication in that original diagnosis. So if you've been off of medication for the last 12 months and you're relatively sign and symptom free, you can now get an approved waiver versus waiting to have to wait 36 months. So if you were previously, I should say that right now, if you were previously disqualified for ADHD and told that you had to wait 3 years, that is no longer a requirement. As long as 12 months has passed and you can get an all clear letter now, you are good to go. All right. But yeah, my thoughts are, the reason why Genesis exists is because recruiters and applicants were not doing what they were supposed to do the right way. And it's just forcing people to be accountable for the correct way of doing things. So I'm not knocking Genesis. I just wish that the organization that rhymes with NEPS could hire faster, get better training, maybe pay more so that they can get people, because NEPS is significantly understaffed, undertrained, and making a crap ton of mistakes, and they don't have enough staff to assist the applicants that are processing, thus causing 6 to 8 week delays for every step of the process. Even if NEPS messed up and we have to resubmit something, we have to wait another 6 to 8 weeks or longer. It's that frustrating. They need to get their act together for sure. Let's see. Give me $5 says tuning in from Las Vegas, Nevada for this week on vacation. That's what I'm talking about. And you're watching me. That's what I'm talking about. That's dedication right there. Here we go with Michael Duncan. Hey, you just reminded me. I got your folder in my bag. I was going to reach out to you today. I'm going to reach out. If you're the same Michael Duncan I think you are, we're going to set something up for later this month. But I got you. You might be a different one. But either way, I'm working another guy. Literally, same name. Anyway, want to join active Army on a 3-year... Hang on, did I skip somebody? Oh, no, it was a super chat. Want to join active Army on a 3-year contract and then transfer to the Army National Guard for the rest of the 20 to get retirement, but I'll be 42 when I get out of the active. Is that too old to plan? No, absolutely not. You just have to... Hang on, you got more. Well, let me just address this real quick. What I'm always going to recommend somebody who's leaving active duty to go through your triple RC, basically your retention personnel, to directly transfer you from regular Army into the Guard or Reserve. Do not get out of service and then try to get back in, because once you're placed in the IRR or the Inactive Readiness Reserve, it literally can take up to 6 months to get you conditionally released from the IRR before you can even go back to continue the process of joining, right? So with that being said, once you are out and you're trying to get back in, once you pass that 6-month mark, you have to do a MEPS medical. And if you don't know about Genesis, it is a nightmare, and you don't want to play those, pardon my French, fuck games, okay? Just directly transfer. And now I'm a recruiter, and I'm telling you not to get out to get back in. A crappy recruiter will tell you to do that because they're greedy and they want the number and they want to get credit for you putting you in. But I'm telling you, it would be in your best interest, and anybody else in this situation, to transfer directly from regular Army into the Guard or Reserve through their retention personnel on base. All right. Also says, I want to join. Oh, yeah, we already talked about that. 2 questions. Sorry for the repeat question. No worries. Got it. All right. Ron says, can I join the Army? I was discharged from the Navy with an RE4, and I heard it's not really recommended for enlistment, I was told. So with that being said, RE4 from the same branch of service. So RE4 basically means, like, let's say you got an RE4 from the Army. You cannot come back to the Army. See you later. Deuces. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get the out of my house. You know what I'm saying? But an RE4 from another branch of service, if the reasons that you were discharged from the Navy is waiverable, and we can do an administrative waiver for that and any other possible waiver for your disqualifications. Like, for example, I mean, it would be crazy to get an RE4 for a medical condition, but let's say you were medically discharged and you received an RE4 and the Navy no longer wants you because of this medical condition. That means you got to get a administrative waiver for your discharge and then a medical waiver for your medical disqualification. Does that make sense? But I put in an RE4 from the Navy and an RE4 from the Marine Corps based on their unique circumstances, which were obviously waiverable at that time. It's a slippery slope, but get with a recruiter, preferably an experienced recruiter. Michael Duncan says, I tried Googling contract options for different MOSs, but nothing comes up. Is the information available anywhere? If you're going active duty, your best bet is to talk to an active duty recruiter. They do have, now if you're going special forces like you're trying, or no, that's somebody else. Anyway, going active duty regular Army, they have limited 2-year options, but it's probably going to be closer to 3 or 4 years or more. But the minimum would be like 2 to 4 years if you're going active. If it's reserve, it's going to be minimum 3 or higher. Eric says, how fast can I rank up on active duty Army? The same as anybody else. It's time in service and time in grade. Time in grade meaning you have to hold that rank for a specific amount of time before you can be eligible for the next rank. And then time in service. For example, once you get to wanting to be eligible for Sergeant First Class, you need a minimum of 9 years of service and 36 months, meaning 3 years as a staff sergeant. And the appropriate leadership school, like advanced leadership course or even senior leadership course if you're high speed. Also says, my recruiter says I can rank up every 6 months. So you can rank up every 6 months from E1 to E2, E2 to E3, and then E3 to E4 is, last time I checked, 18 to 24 months. But don't take my word for it. But a waiver is usually executed and you'll get E4 relatively easy. Or you can do referrals and you can rank up faster and bypass that time and grade, time and service requirement. Michael Parker says, hey, so I took the ASVAB and scored a 19, and the next day my recruiter told me he thinks I would be a better fit for the Navy. Does that make me look bad? No, it just means that the Navy is taking people that score less than a 21, sometimes all the way down to a 10, but the job opportunities are probably not too great for that, but it's up to you. I would try to retest and try to get a 21 or better and go through the 09 Mike program if you're still here. But coming into the chat box and also link down below. Tally Bachor, if I said your last name right, but Tally says, I'm a spouse from Brazil and I have a bachelor's degree from there. When I join, what rank will I get? Thank you. So as long as your 4-year degree was evaluated and deemed a equivalent to a 4-year degree in the United States, you will join at the highest rank possible with education as a specialist E4. So as long as the evaluation rates you at a 4-year degree holder here in the US, you are good to go. David, waiting on, okay, we talked about that. Completely unbothered says, hashtag Team SWARTZ, appreciate that. What exactly is the PICAT? What reason would one recruiter sign someone up for the ASVAB and another recruiter sign the same person up for the PICAT? All right, cool. So PICAT and the ASVAB, what are the differences? The PICAT can be done either at the recruiting office, which is preferred, or the applicant's home. The reason why we prefer it to be at the recruiting office is that we can observe you and maintain time hacks for each section and to enforce you not to cheat. Like enforce meaning based on observation, making sure you're not using a calculator, ChatGPT, AI, or any other means like Google or whatnot, because you're not going to have those abilities while at MEPS taking the ASVAB test. The difference between, and the ASVAB is timed, the PICAT is not. I have a whole video on these two topics that you could deep dive at your leisure. So I'll put PICAT and then the ASVAB video. Okay. One's for the ASVAB, one's for the PICAT. So a PICAT is not proctored or overseen by a military representative or service member, whereas the ASVAB is only done at MEPS or an approved MET site, an alternate site, but it is proctored by a military person or a service member. So once you complete the ASVAB test, that's it. Whatever those scores are, if they're good, you're good. With the PICAT, again, if you do the PICAT and you're successful, scoring a 21 or better, you still have to verify those scores, meaning you have to still go to MEPS to verify that test score through the verification test, which is about 40 questions that you'll finish in 20 to 40 minutes on average. And as long as the system is up and running, you'll take the verification test. Now, during the verification test, if everything was consistent with the way you did the PICAT, they will award you that grade in which you got on the PICAT. Now, if the system sees any inconsistencies, like you're doing far greater or far worse, it will flip the switch and then transfer you from the verification test into a full version 3-hour ASVAB test. Those are the quick quick notes on the two. But good luck to you and make us proud. JG says, what is the best way for a prior service to go 18X? Been in for 12 year in reserve and out since 2020. I think physically preparing yourself would be the way to go. And as I've been saying pretty much all live stream today, 18X, but Special Forces has been a hot topic tonight for sure. But check out the FNG Academy. Very, very knowledgeable. He is former active duty Special Forces, did a short term in the Army National Guard Special Forces. Then he went law enforcement, didn't like that, got out, and now he's an entrepreneur. And he's a book writer. I own one of his books. He just dropped a new book, which I have not gotten yet, but he's the inventor of the ruck trainer. So he beat me to something. I've been wanting to do that for years, but he beat me to it. And he did so well, like I'm not even going to bother doing my own because it's phenomenal. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, check out the FNG Academy. He'll get you ready. EU Xbox says, what happens after basic training graduation? If you're in the Guard or Reserve, you go home within the next 72 hours-ish. And if you're active duty within the next 2 weeks or less, you'll be transferred to your first duty station. Or if at time of enlistment or coordinated at the training site, you signed up to do the hometown recruiting assistant program, you'll typically be sent after graduation within 72 hours to your hometown to do recruiting with your local recruiting station for up to 7 to 10 days, which is like free time off from your unit while working at the same time to grow the force of the Army. It basically just gives you the ability to be in paid status to do something in your hometown, to be able to spend the evenings and weekends with your family while you're there before reporting to your unit of assignment. And hopefully that makes sense. Can you switch branches after Army contract is over? Yes, as long as that branch of service is willing to accept you and you're otherwise eligible, absolutely. JG says, oh, that's not for me. Hang on. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah, I'm not sure what the age requirement is. DB, thank you for the compliment. Appreciate that. Adrian Parson says, would you happen to know about hearing waivers, H3, barely on the single tone? Specialist says completely functional and likely a testing thing more than an actual hearing loss. Probably MEPS will schedule you to do a hearing consultation, to do a secondary hearing test, and hopefully you'll do better. When you do a new hearing test, my recommendation is no loud environments, no loud music or movies, or like steer clear of any overly stimulated loud environments, right? And the day before, but no later than once you come home from work or school in the afternoon or evening, put in earplugs in your ear and take them out right before the hearing test. That way, your hearing is going to be way more sensitive, and I would recommend that during your hearing test, you close your eyes, you don't move because the wiring in the headset is going to make noise, and you want to do shallow and controlled breathing. And with your eyes closed, the theory is when one sense is blocked, the other senses are heightened. Also, what I would also do within a week before the hearing test, again, is to go to your doctor and get your ears flushed. It's called the ear lavage. Like, get them flushed out, cleaned out, so that there's nothing in there that could prevent you from hearing. All right. You might have a lot of earwax in there that could be messing with the hearing test. So get your ears cleaned, earplugs the night before, and don't take them out until right before the hearing test. and don't be near any loud environments, and steer clear of wearing earphones with loud music. Like, I wouldn't even use any hearing devices to listen to music or anything. I wouldn't even like watch TV or listen to music until after the hearing test, right? And yeah, and a good night's rest for sure. That's what I would recommend for you. Maxwell says, I'm planning to join soon. I was wondering, how often do you get the job that you ask for? Depends on which component of the Army you're in, availability, and training seats. But Maxwell, this is the video I want you to check out for a long-winded response to this question with more insights and information to address that question more thoroughly. JG says, getting back in and speaking with the Texas National Guard or Colorado for 19th Group as 18X. Get you ready with SFRE, and then if you are golden, you go to SFAS, and non-selects can go back after a year. But I heard someone went back in like a month and got selected. Yeah, they're hurting for people. They're heavily recruiting out of Fort Moore. So if you're going to Fort Moore for like infantry school or any other MLS at Fort Moore, and you have the line score of a 100 on the GT line score because they lowered it down to 100, and you're a U.S. Actually, you can be a green card holder and go Special Forces, because I don't want to hear it in the comments, but if you're a green card holder and you're otherwise eligible for Special Forces, to include the reduction of the line score requirement being to 100, not just 110, they lowered it down to 100. For a green card holder, you will get your citizenship before you graduate from OSUT or basic training or AIT, right? And then once you complete all that training, then you, because you have your citizenship, and if otherwise eligible, you can go Special Forces from there. So yes, they are accepting green card holders, but by the time you get to Special Forces, you will be a U.S. citizen, and you will meet the minimum requirement. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Drunken Ninja says, I love that name. I also accepted a job offer recently, and I've been told that about my military commitment, and I'm kind of nervous that they'll can me, even though there are laws protecting my military service. Well, just make sure that everything is documented via email, not just face-to-face. And if you do have a conversation by telling them face-to-face before you send the email, like I would tell them via email after you start working there. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention to you, and I'm not sure if this is gonna be a big deal or not, but I'm in the military, and that's what I would do. It's sometimes in this example, like if you're that concerned and nervous, I could see why, and there are laws to protect you, but it's better to ask for forgiveness sometimes versus asking for permission. And companies will dress it up as a different thing if you tell them sometimes ahead of time that you're in the military, and they just don't hire you, and it is a discrimination because of that reason, but they're never going to say publicly that that's the reason why they're not hiring you. So as long as you accepted it, once you're like knee deep in the first week or two of working there, say, oh, I forgot to mention this to you because it was never brought up during the interview process, but here is my drill schedule. I happen to be in the Army National Guard or the Army Reserve or whatever branch of service you're in. Here is my drill schedule. Please make sure that I'm not scheduled on these days to be in work. All right. And in the same email, I would refer to them to the esgr.mil, M-I-L, website for employers and employees' rights. As long as you're in a company that has a legitimate HR department, you're good because they know the laws. If you're in a small mom and pop type business where they only have like a handful of employees and they're not privy to the local and state and federal laws, then you might run into issues, but ESGR will speak on your behalf and take necessary steps from there. But you're going to be fine, man. Trust me. But definitely follow up with me if it becomes an issue. JG, how can you get your DD214, you're going to want to go to Google and type in SF180 into the search bar, coming into the chat box right now. Special form 180, complete that form requesting your DD214 and anything else that you're looking for. And on that form, depending on the years served and branch of service you were in, will dictate to you how and where you will submit that request to get your DD214. And it's usually pretty quick, within a couple weeks or less. Sometimes a matter of a couple days. Creed also says, oh yeah, that's not for me. Oh, I missed that. Gotcha. All right. Yeah. So that's going to be a process. And honestly, if you have medical issues, it's probably going to take closer to like 4 to 6 months or even longer, depending on the medical issue in hand. Pep, I'm going to come right back to you. So I got a super sticker, I think, from the Officials TV. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. And if you do have a question, I'm going to try to pay attention to my phone above my teleprompter here, or my prompter from El Gato, which is awesome. Here we go. So, do 11 Bravos ever use the machine guns in tanks, or is that just 19 Deltas? Nah, it's got to be 19 Deltas. The tankers, the people that are in the tanks. So those would be the 19 Deltas. Now, infantry will, it's either light infantry where they're on feet, or well, there's mechanized infantry too. But tanks are for 19 Deltas for sure. Let's see. Andre Bell says, thank you for the video. You're very welcome. Pep also asks, would you recommend going 19 Delta and then Special Forces? Yeah, that's a good MOS to get into as well. It's a good route. The Official TV says, want to go in infantry or MP? They're both great for different reasons. Whichever one you lean more towards, if you're otherwise eligible for it and you qualify for it, go for it. User says, question, what if an applicant is aiming for specific MOS but doesn't score high enough on the ASVAB? What are their options, and what do you think is the best options besides picking different MOS? Well, you definitely have to pick a new MOS because you don't qualify for that one. So this video will break down all the insights, tips, and tricks and understanding of this process. Okay. Now, depending on the MOS, this video will explain to you about the telephonic waiver process. So not all MOSs, but some MOSs will allow us to waive 5 points. So if there was a requirement for 101 in the ST line score, but you have a 96, we can do a waiver and you can still get that job, even though you're 5 points short of that qualification or the requirement for that job or MOS. We have had approvals up to 10 or 12 points lower than the requirement approved by the schoolhouse, but that is MOS specific on whether or not they approve it or not. And it also depends on if you have civilian accreditations, certificates, licenses, or experience for them to factor into their decision-making process on accepting a telephonic waiver. Okay. But yeah, definitely go check out that video. It'll deep dive more onto that. All right. Andre Bell says, what is the age cutoff for Special Forces? Anyone know? Not really sure, honestly. It's probably mid-30s, honestly. But I'm just guessing, like 32 to 35, maybe. The Official TV says, bro, just join. That's what he said. I don't recall that, but all right. Full send, though. All right, so let's see. Let me see. Oh, didn't respond. Okay. Brenton Russell Jr. says, I recently got accepted into US Maps. I'm trying to make it a list of what to bring. I think you meant US Army. I'm trying to make a list of what to bring and what not to bring. And do you know if we go home for a while after basic training, I think is what you meant, or do we hop straight into the academic year? Honestly, I don't know what to make of what you're saying here, but if I had to interpret this, it almost sounds like you're going to go to the 09 Mike program and you're asking if there's a break before you go into basic training, or are you asking like after basic training in AIT, is there a break so that you can go to college? I'm not really sure what it is that you're asking me. I apologize, but your questions aren't very clear and there's spelling errors. So I'm just trying to decipher what it is that you're exactly asking. But what to pack for basic training is this video here. Oh no, it's the preparation video. So this video will tell you what to bring to basic training. Now, I'm not sure what you're talking about in that last question involving Beast and academic year, but Trill, you just did, but I'm going to be wrapping things up in a few minutes. So I'm not wrapping it up yet. I'm going to answer a few more questions, but if I don't get to your question tonight, you can always hit me up on Instagram at Team SWARTZ. The link is coming in the chat box right now, at Team SWARTZ on Instagram. If you don't have the gram and you prefer to send me an email, I prefer Instagram, but this is my email address, teamswartzmedia@gmail.com. Again, I will always prefer Instagram just because it keeps the thread together and it doesn't get lost in like spam email and stuff like that. But either way, those are the two best options. Now, if you're in New York City, that's a different story. I'll give you my number. But if you're not in New York City, preferred method is Instagram and then email. All right. Martin, will the Army accept me with a spine scoliosis surgery? Ooh, that's going to be tough. Well, normal circumstance is your scoliosis cannot be more than 10 degrees. Now, whether or not they accept you with a surgery, the only way to figure that out is to try. And the best video to tell you the exact process and expectations on the whole thing is to check out this video. It's my waiver guide, tips and insights, and what you'll need to gather and do in preparation for your medical complex pre-screen. All right. And try to get a medical waiver. That's what we're looking for. So do all that. Hopefully you can find a recruiter that would be willing to submit the complex pre-screen and roll the dice and see what happens, or throw the noodle up against the wall of the ceiling and see if it sticks. You know what I'm saying? So good luck to you, Martin. May the waiver gods forever be in your favor. Joey L. Sasson says, do they check your medical records at reception? No. So if you watch these videos, no and yes. No as in not unless you give them a reason to. But if you go on sick call because of an illness or an injury, best be sure that they're going to look into your medical records through Genesis. But check out these two videos so that you can be in the know, okay? And then the update video to that video is right here. So those two videos, hopefully you like the entertainment value, but more importantly, it's highly, highly informative, and anything and everything you're going to want to know about Genesis. And again, my medical waiver guide I just posted before will help you through the medical waiver process. All right. If you need a waiver, well, you're already enlisted, so you're going to reception. So that's different. But yeah, good luck to you. Vince Wolfinger says, do you recommend National Guard Special Forces for women? Whether it's active duty or National Guard, if you want to go Special Forces and that's what you aspire to do and be, and that's your dream, I say go for it. The only thing I'm going to say to you, whether you're a male or a female, doesn't matter to me, right? Equal opportunity, right? Is to physically prepare yourself for the training. It's going to be vigorous, rucking, carrying heavy weights, land navigation, all those things. So for you and anybody else who's looking to go, go Special Forces, you got to check out the FNG Academy. And I because I read his book is how I know what FNG stands for now. I had no idea what FNG stood for until I read his book. But FNG stands for fucking no-go. But yeah. Anywho, good luck to you, and hopefully you make it. And if you do make it, please follow up with me on Instagram at Team SWARTZ or teamswartzmedia@gmail.com. Shoot me an email or Instagram. I would love to hear about your experience from a female's perspective, and maybe even talk about it. I could even, if we do a video, I could blur out your face and distort your voice, to protect your Special Forces community and identity and all that good stuff. Anakin also asks, what basic do you get sent to most likely for 15 series? It doesn't matter. You can go to any 4. There's no specific training site for 15 series. Let's see. Dave De Silva also says, Army website says bonus up to 50,000. How many years do you need to sign up for to get all 50,000, or is it the maximum bonus? All right, so David, when it comes to active duty bonuses to get up to 50,000, there's so many different requirements. It's contract length, how fast you ship, it's MOS specific, how long you sign up for, if there's any specialty schools involved, and there's all kinds of different things. So that question is going to be better geared towards your active duty recruiter that has the policies in place, or are aware of their policies that govern these types of things. All right. That's definitely not a National Guard thing, but yeah, there's a lot of restrictions and hoops that you have to jump through to get all that. All right. Let's see. The Try Hard Tuesday says, thank you. I'll check them out. Awesome. David also says, I'm looking to join active duty. How much do I need to worry about past diagnosed injuries that still occasionally give me some slight problems? If these occasional slight problems are not documented, is it really a problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't tell you not to disclose it, because you have to, because Genesis is going to find it. But if you go in there, again, I'm not telling you what to say or what to do, but I can tell you that if you go in there and say that it occasionally gives you problems, and depending on the medical condition or issue, then it will more than likely disqualify you from joining, depending on the injury. All right. But you do with that information as you see fit. This is my medical waiver guide video right here to understand the entire process with insights and tips to help improve your probability of getting an approval of your medical waiver. Okay. Kang Nguyen says, does Korea Army bases have their education center like in America? You know who's actually there right now? And hang on. Aaron ABTV. Look up Aaron BTV on YouTube. I thought I had him on a hyperlink. I'm putting it in the chat box right now. He's an active duty dental hygienist currently in South Korea, and he would be the best person to ask because he's physically there right now. I don't know. I'm assuming that every base has an education office. I'm like 99.9% sure they do, but he could definitely confirm with you because he's currently in Korea right now as we speak. Lance says, try half reps for push-ups. It puts focus on one part that you need. They do it in prison. That is true, and they're rollick. Andre Bell, what is the process to become a warrant officer? You need to be a U.S. citizen, GT line score of 110 or better, obviously pass the medical and the ASVAB, minimal, pretty much no law violations, just like OCS. Good credit history. Again, it doesn't have to be good credit score, but good credit history. And then with warrant officer, unlike 09 Sierra or OCS, to become a commissioned officer, it's not a cookie cutter requirement. It's going to vary depending on the MOS that you want to eventually convert to warrant officer. All right. So if you're going street to seat to be a flight warrant officer, that's totally different option. And the That's different. But if you're gonna, let's say you're a 74 Delta chemical, nuclear, biological, radiological specialist, or let's say 91 Bravo light wheel vehicle mechanic, and you want to become a warrant officer, it will vary on if you need a specific college course or two or several, or an actual college degree and a specific degree or whatever. But like having a specific degree or a degree or college, it may or may not be a requirement for that specific warrant officer field of study. But a warrant officer recruiter specifically will tell you what the requirements are. And again, it's going to vary. And you might need a certain amount of years of experience as a specific level of an NCO, a non-commissioned officer as an E5 sergeant or E6 staff sergeant, or even E7 sergeant first class, or you could be like an E5, E6, but you need to have like ALC, advanced leadership course or whatever. They'll tell you all the nitty-gritty details of what's required for your unique opportunity to possibly go warrant officer. Lance Melvin says, would it help if I got referrals from someone in every branch? No, it would have to be from the Army for sure. So Pep asks, what's the difference between an NCO and a commissioned officer? Well, commissioned officers are of higher rank compared to a non-commissioned officer. And the biggest difference is, to be a non-commissioned officer, it is not a requirement to have a 4-year degree or a GT line score of a 110 or better. With a commissioned officer, you are obviously of higher rank. You have to have a 4-year degree and go through OCS training and all that stuff. That is the biggest difference. Real simple and real quick, because I'm trying to pop out of here. Ethan's World says NCOs are enlisted and commissioned officers are officers and not enlisted like they went through West Point. Well, West Point is one way, but it's not the only way. Valkyrie says, where do I tell a recruiter to look up this new ADHD policy? It was published by MEPS, so check his email. They should have pushed it out. SS, and I could email it to him if he's interested. You can shoot me a message. SS says, what are your thoughts on the National Guard scholarship versus the ROT scholarship? If you mean by the National Guard scholarship as in the 1606 Select Reserve GI Bill, just like the Army Reserve, that's very, very basic and minimal. ROTC scholarship, as in like the Minuteman scholarship and the National Guard, is a hell of a lot more money and very, very lucrative compared to just the 1606 Select Reserve GI Bill. Hopefully that addresses your question or concern. I already posted plenty of videos, but go in the description area and look up MHS Genesis and MHS Genesis Update. Those two videos will break everything down for you. Pep also asks, hypothetically speaking, if someone was enlisted and they become a non-commissioned officer, would they be put in a branch in the same field? No, because to be a non-commissioned officer is just to be a sergeant through a sergeant major. Now, the higher in the rank that you go from like E8 to E9, then well, sometimes even as E7, you might have to be a specific MOS depending on like which component of the Army you're in. You may need certain MOS training to go to the next rank. But it's not like you need civilian education in that field, if that makes sense. But yeah, you're at it's just within your MOS. So like, for example, if I'm understanding you correctly, all right, so for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking like when you use the word branch, I'm thinking like commissioned officer. And I think you might be confusing the two things, or you mean like an entire different branch from like Army versus Air Force or something. So yeah, you're not going to get promoted from specialist E4 in the Army and then change branches to the Air Force to get promoted to Sergeant E5. No, that's not going to happen. It's going to be within the same branch of service. And as far as like being promoted, it's going to be within your MOS. It doesn't have to be in the same unit, but it's going to be within the same MOS. Lucas Souza says, I am 5'6", 247 pounds. If I lose weight, can I join the Army? You might not have to lose too much weight, like maybe 25, 30 pounds, maybe, or maybe less. But check out this 09 Mike video, okay? Despite with the video only saying that you cannot be any more than 6% over your maximum allowable body fat per age and gender and height and weight, but they just increase it to no more than 8% over your maximum allowable body fat. So for example, if you're allowed under normal circumstances 24% body fat, that means you're allowed up to 34% body fat. All right. Joey El Sazon says, does reception go through medical history again? I already talked about that. Mile High Family Man says, what are your requirements to qualify for the VA home loan in the Guard? So if you never deploy or do qualifying federal active duty service of 90 consecutive days or more, then you must do 6 years part-time in the Guard or reserve to qualify for the VA home loan. Hopefully that makes sense. Might not like it. That's the way it is. It's the way the cookie crumbles. All right. Pep says, I have a 4-year degree and was wondering, how do I go about getting the automatic rank that comes with that if I enlist? You need official college transcripts and or your 4-year degree, meaning that like the diploma. And that's it. That's all you need. Drunken Ninja, I know I saw your question earlier. I don't know if you were here for it, but I'm not sure if you... I think I answered like 2 or 3 questions of yours. But post it here and I'll ask you. I'll look at my phone. But Isaiah D says, is there Rangers in the National Guard? You have people that are Ranger qualified, but we have no Ranger regiments, if that's what you're asking. So you'll get tabbed up, but you won't be in a unit. EO Xbox says, what's the shortest and longest contract for 11 Bravo? It's not MOS specific. So depending on which component of the Army you go in, you could sign as little as 2 years or a maximum of 8 years. Magic Fingers says, Magic Fingers. I bet you they're magic. Will having an account in collection prevent you from shipping after you have enlisted? It really depends on your MOS. If it's a clearance position, and yeah, that will prevent you from getting that job. You're probably going to get reclassed. So I would do everything you can to get into a payment plan with them. Call them up. Say, hey, listen, I'm in a financial bind here. I can afford $20 a month. Before I make a payment right now, I need you to email me an agreement stating that we are on a $20 a month payment plan, and I will make my first payment right now as we speak. And then every day on this day here moving forward, you can automatically deduct $20 from my bank account until this debt is settled. Get that in writing via email and update that with your recruiter inside Recruiter Zone, which is the software we use to process applicants. And hopefully you'll be all right, depending on your circumstances. Drunken Ninja says, Lucas, I was the same weight as you 2 years ago, 170 pounds now. You definitely want to lose a weight. I'm the same height as you too. Drunken Ninja, if you want to restate your question, because you said that I skipped you, let me know. Maxwell says, got it. We'll check it out. Thank you for the response. Planning on 12 Bravo. Who a freaking Louie. SWARTZ is 11 Bravo easy to get into? Yes, as long as you're otherwise qualified for it. Chandler Hummel says, I'm in week 6 of the Drill Sergeant Academy. Is the land nav course hard? I haven't done land nav in 5 years. You're week 6? All right, so I'll put it to you this way. Because there are no leaves on a tree, you shouldn't have any issues. When I went through July of 2020, man, the brush is so thick that you could not see the points. Like, I did not see this one point that was literally inside in the middle of the bush. You couldn't see on the outside, but the only reason why I saw it was because I was taking a leak in front of the bush, and that's when I looked at it. I was like, is that a point? The hell? But man, enjoy this time at the academy. I don't know if you're active duty, guard, or reserve, but I thoroughly enjoyed the Drill Sergeant Academy. Had so much fun doing it. Maybe because I've been recruiting for so long. I felt like a soldier again and a non-commissioned officer. But yeah, man, keep your head up. Keep doing great things. You're week 6. The hard part's over. You got this. Keep doing good things. And don't even worry about the land nav course. It's a group effort, but I will I will warn you this though. If you're still here, Chandler, you're probably not, because you're probably like going to bed soon. But so in the group setting, one person's going to be the azimuth person, the compass person. The other one's going to be the map reader, and the other person's going to be the pace count. I say, pardon my French, fuck them guys. I don't care. I don't care if they're active duty. I don't care if they're combat arms. I don't give a. All right. You do your own pace count. You make sure that the person doing the compass, I would even say you're the compass person, and just do your own pace count. You shoot the azimuth, and hopefully the person, like all three of you, should verify that the points are applied correctly and converted from the grid azimuth to the magnetic azimuth. And that way, because you're the one that doing, so volunteer for the compass person, right? And keep track of their pace count and go. Because if you rely on the other people in your team, they're going to F it up. I was with 2 active duty people, and I've never been with the worst land nav people in the world. And it was horrible. But yeah, that's my advice to you. Good luck. Have fun at the academy. This will defend for sure. Drunken Ninja says, no, I just enlisted in the New York Army National Guard, and I'm going to basic. I'm not in the Army yet. No, if you sign a contract, you're in the Army National Guard. By paper, you are a soldier. Not MOS qualified, but you are a soldier. You are in. Like, you're contracted if you're in the Guard. Yeah. So anyway, Chandler says, yeah, we already talked about that. James UK, if I get sick at basic training, like runny nose, sneezing with provide allergies met for me, can I bring some allergy pill? No, you do not bring any medication with you, even if it's over the counter. It is not authorized. It will get tossed out. You will lose money. You won't be able to have it. You'll have to get that stuff on sick call, and that's that. SWARTZ, I'm just waiting on my Social Security and birth certificate. Oh, gotcha. This person says, can you join the Army with dyslexia? No, you cannot. Well, it possibly can. It depends on your ability to pass the ASAP test and medical and get an approved waiver. But you definitely have to get an updated evaluation and all clear letter from that specialist and all that good stuff. But yeah. But yeah. Most people get denied. DB, you skipped my question. Is it true that the Army Reserve, since it's federal, can move your home base drill location with the needs of the Army versus National Guard, where you're always stationed in the state you join? Yes, that is a hard fact. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen, and I warn people of that in this video, Guard versus Reserve video. It's a little bit dated. All the information is still accurate and correct, with the exception of the numbers, like the dollar amounts for certain benefits like the GI Bill and stuff like that. But all the other information is true and accurate. So that is probably the best 52-minute video comparing and contrasting the Guard versus Reserve, the pros and the cons. In it, I think I do a very good job. You let me know in the comments. But I do a very good and effective job on saying if it's a pro this way, and it could be perceived as a con this way for the same particular topic. So hopefully that makes sense. But Wifey is home now. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming on here and seeing me and asking your questions. Hopefully I helped you out. Feel free to direct message me on Instagram at Team SWARTZ. Okay. And if you prefer to send me email, I'm putting these two in the chat box. Okay. It's also linked down below. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Good luck. See you not next week, but the following week here on Team SWARTZ on the Recruiting Ain't Easy podcast. Appreciate y'all. Stay blessed. Be good. And have a great freaking night, y'all. Peace. I'm out of here.
Whoa. Hold up. Wait a minute. Before you go, I have a members only side of my YouTube channel, link below in a pinned comment beneath this screen video. This is where I post my behind the scenes videos, community posts, and conduct private live streams throughout the month, where it's more about a one-on-one kind of feel Q&A session, with more to come in the near future. These will not be public and just for you and me, because I am all yours. or you could just join to support me in my efforts to conduct these live streams and videos to help you and thousands of others. I appreciate you. I thank you so much for tuning in. And if I didn't get to your comment tonight, do me a favor, direct message me your comment or concern to at Team SWARTZ on Instagram, or shoot me an email to teamswartzmedia@gmail.com, with my Instagram being the preferred and more effective method. So stay blessed. See you in the next one. Team SWARTZ, signing out.
Like man with no found when I'm boom. Pardon me, I get hectic. I survive through the wreckage. Should go look for that.